From a Gen X point of view is brought to you today by the letter
B for Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Respect.
Yeah, mad respect. Fellow Gen Xer, we lost this week. Chadwick Boseman died at the age of 43, born in 76, same years as I was. Yeah, I mean, it's been talked to death already up to this point. Had colon cancer.
Right.
Had been battling it for 4 years.
So the importance of this for our generation is that screening, right? It's that whole like colon cancer is one of those things that you can get screening for and potentially prevent or at least catch early enough where surgeries and everything gives you a little bit better chance at living.
Yeah, because I think they said he was already stage 3 by the time he was diagnosed.
Yeah, so and he'd had that for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the remarkable thing is he did all those movies.
Yeah.
You know, he basically, from an outsider's perspective, I mean, I'm not an Avengers guy. I'm not a Marvel guy. I mean, everyone knows that. But the fact that he was able to perform his art to the highest level possible.
Yeah.
I mean, as an actor
in a movie like that. Yeah.
Yeah. As an actor, I liked him. My favorite role for him, because I'm not an Avengers guy, was more about how he portrayed Jackie Robinson.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm a baseball guy. So yeah, just for all of us in this generation, I think
we said it was Chadwick Boseman, right? We actually said his name.
Yeah, you did.
Somebody in the chat's already questioning us. Go ahead.
What? Yeah. Yeah, it just it when we found out about it, like we were at Big Swedes, which I'm sure we'll talk about here a little bit later.
Yeah. We were in the middle of a live stream when the news broke.
Yeah.
And it was surprising, shocking to say the least. But this is one of those things where we're not. I know growing up, I always felt a sense of almost immortality. I don't know if you felt the same way, but things like death, dying, terminal illnesses, all that stuff was way in the future until fairly recently, within the last 4 or 5 years, the shit started getting real. And now when you see such a prominent name fall victim to one of these things, like a colon cancer, it's like, fuck.
And it really
could have just as easily have been one of us.
Yeah. It's the age bracket, right? It's that, somewhere around your mid 40s that when somebody passed away, it's abnormal. That's not a point in your life where you're like, oh, this person's lived a full life. That it's not the case.
Right.
So it's just, don't want to dwell on it, get it out of the way. But listen, when you have the opportunities to get screened for things, when you have, don't be afraid to get the test because you're worried about the outcome.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, are you going to be completely oblivious to the cure? Because you and I both know personally that sometimes the cure is worse than the disease, at least in the near term. But yeah, just we're in that group that as Gen Xers, this is that point of our lives where we kind of have to start thinking about this and start thinking about some preventive maintenance, so that we can get to our next retirement or that next age group where we can fucking not have to worry about working anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So just, God, real sad though. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Now, before we get into our sponsor, first, what are we talking about this week? We've been lacking in telling the folks, the listeners and the YouTube viewers and all that, what we're talking about before we then get into sponsors and just our weeks and all that.
Well, I think the tough part, we assume that people can read, right? If you're downloading the podcast or you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to have a thing on the bottom of it that says, this is what we're talking about this week.
But still,
right?
For the audience, we've still got to address it.
Whatever.
Even if it's one sentence at the top of the show, you still got to talk about what we're talking about.
We're talking about He-Man.
Yes.
He-Man. If that fucking song is not in your head by the time you're finished with this fucking show, you're heartless.
Yes.
You absorb nothing.
Yep. And the He-Man episode of From a Gen X Point of View is brought to you today
by El Yucateco.
Yes.
Your lead.
Yeah. This is the point where I punt the ball back to you.
Oh,
and then we talk about some El Yucateco for a while.
I'd like to talk about El Yucateco. You know what's? Did you notice today that one of our listeners, Big Swede, had posted about giving you credit for some burrito love this morning with his El Yucateco.
Hell
And
yeah.
our friends at El Yucateco got in there and made a comment about it.
Oh, I missed
So
the comment.
They did. They went in there.
Sweet.
So for those of you who don't know, they're living under a rock. El Yucateco is one of our proud sponsors, and we love them.
Might be our only sponsor too, but that's beside
Perhaps.
the point.
Perhaps. Yeah, this is but we got El Yucateco on everything. Food, socks, sunglasses
Yep.
that are up there, cups, you name it. Go to shopelucateco.com. You can get all of the extremely flavorful flavors. Flavor. I was trying to work that in there. I didn't know how it was going to go. How about you just fucking tell us what you cooked with El Yucateco?
Well,
today?
so normally I do, but I think that a better story would be to tell the people about the party we went to on Saturday night.
Sure.
Because again, our friend Big Swede, Tactical Swede, Bacon Swede, NASA Swede, all the Swedes, he hosted a party. It was a belated birthday party. Whatever. He's been trying to plan this for a while.
It was a birthday party reboot.
Yeah. So we finally got out to his house. First time I'd been to his house, met his family, and he made burgers, homemade hamburgers with some El Yucateco chile verde hot sauce mixed in to the fucking hamburger.
And it was
before he cooked it.
Not really, didn't come through as heat, but definitely came through as the flavor.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely could taste it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kudos to Big Swede for throwing into some burger. Because honestly, I would have never thought to put fucking hot sauce in like a burger, like in a burger patty, like as you're making it. So fucking brilliant.
But I mean, the flavor that El Yucateco packs in it, it's actually perfect for that sort of thing. And I just want to reiterate, if you have your own El Yucateco hot sauce recipes, fucking get them out there. Tag us on Instagram, tag El Yucateco on Instagram, because yeah, we love seeing recipes. I know a lot of people have been posting shit. I know Bronco Fett does all the time. Luna Girl, Big Swede. Keep them coming, guys. That's it's awesome to see that.
Yeah, enjoy the El Yucateco. Hashtag King of Flavor. Hashtag it with some Gen X POV. Tag the podcast with some love.
Please let them know that we're sending you to El Yucateco.
Yes, because it's delicious. We want you to enjoy it, and we want to reap some benefit out of that as well.
For sure.
Obviously.
Yes. And what would Lando say about El Yucateco?
It's a dynamite taste. That's actually probably fairly appropriate since it is hot sauce.
It is.
Hot.
Yeah, indeed.
Gonna make you wet.
So
Gonna get in the hot tub.
Moving on. This is about the time where we talk about our week. So I guess we'll start with me again.
Yes, as per usual.
So today is August 31st, the day we're recording this.
Right.
And you know, I talk a lot about how I work out and I run and everything. Mm-hmm. What I haven't mentioned before is that I keep a log of everything that I do. When I lift weights, I log every single weight that I lifted, like the number of reps I did, the number of sets, how many pounds it was.
I want everyone that's listening right now to remember back to the Nintendo episode when Jason brings out his Nintendo Bible where everything is fucking written down.
Yes.
Like that of every game he ever fucking played, every code, every save point, everything else.
Yeah.
So this is not surprising to anybody that Jason logs what he's doing.
Yeah, this is my thing. It's what I do. So yeah. And I decided, since I realized, today's August 31st. I finished working out today. I worked shoulders. I went back through my logbook. I went back through my my running logs. And in the month of August, now you got to remember, for people who haven't been following us from All Things Star Wars, our previous podcast,
right?
Dave and I both got the coronavirus at the end of June, beginning of July.
Mm-hmm.
And it did quite a number on both of us. So I had just gotten back into exercising like the last week of July. And for the month of August, I worked out 29 of the 31 days this month.
Nice.
Which includes either weightlifting or running on those days. Ran a total of 27 and a half miles over the month of August. When I started, my first run, I think, was like August 3rd. And then I ran again like 2 days ago. My first run was a mile that first week of August because I was still feeling that pneumonia and the effects of the COVID.
Right. And even on the show, you still had the cough. I mean, it was still pretty prevalent.
Mm-hmm. So started off the month only being able to run a mile. 2 days ago, ran 4 miles. So I'm slowly building that endurance back up and slowly starting to get back to where I was. So, and the whole moral of all of this is the fact that I've been persistent, consistent, whatever you want to call it. And I've stuck with it throughout the entire month, and I'm finally seeing the results.
Mhm.
You know, I feel it. I can kind of start to see some of my muscles coming back. I have definitely seen my gut going down. My run time's improving. The amount of weights I'm able to lift is improving. So if you take anything from this, if you want to get healthy, you want to work out, whatever, you just got to be consistent. You know, you got to find a way to work it into your schedule. I know a lot of people use the excuse, oh, I'm too busy. I've got all this going on. I just don't have time to go. Bullshit. There is somewhere where you're wasting time every day, or you're not using your time efficiently, where you could fit something like that in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people have physical things that keep them from doing a lot of different types of exercises, but there's always something you can do.
Yeah. Case in point, if you have an iPhone, you can look at your screen time, right?
Yep.
And weekly screen time last week for me was like over 7 hours.
Yeah.
Like, so if you worked out an hour a day for every one of those days, or every day during the week, that's okay. Instead of 7 hours just fucking around on your phone, unless you're taking a shit or something like that.
Right. That's different.
I mean, that's what phones are for. But
or, you know, you text them while you're driving, just, you know, it's so you can correspond with people and
I mean, you watch YouTube videos while you're driving because you get bored, or watch full up shows because that's the only time you get to watch TV. Don't do that. It's not a good idea. It's not. Don't do any of those things. Anyway.
Okay. So, and it was pretty funny. So we talked about going to Nick's party the other night. We did a live stream from one of his YouTube channels. And I was wearing one of my newer shirts that I bought. It was a medium shirt.
It's medium.
Right? Because before I started like trying to get healthy and working out and everything, I was wearing large shirts because, you know, my gut was sticking out quite a bit. I'm like, I don't want to wear a medium, because of the gut and everything. But then I'm like, all right, and really the reasoning behind buying the medium shirts was more motivation. It's like, all right, fatty, you got to fucking stop eating a tub of ice cream every day, and you got to get back into.
Were you up to a tub of ice cream a day? I mean, that's
okay. It was every other day. But
right, fair enough.
I had the coronavirus. What are you gonna do? So part of the reason I bought the shirts was to, you know, kind of motivate myself to fucking get back to being fit. And oh man, I got all kinds of shit for those shirts during the live stream. It was great. And the whole schmedium thing.
I think the tee up was from Isaac had said, can Jason wear a tighter shirt?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Which, I mean, it was good. It was, you know, even though they were busting my balls at the same time, it was kind of a compliment, I think. So I'd like to think so.
It was. You know, it's all it's truth and jest. You know?
Right, exactly.
Like everybody's just a little bit jealous.
Yeah, you only fuck with the people you like. You know. So, but yeah, no, it was actually kind of funny to hear that over the stream. Besides that, I've been practicing piano still. Another thing I've been making it a point to make time for. I fucking love this app. If you're interested in learning to play the piano or the keyboard or whatever, it's called Simply Piano. Costs money, but I think it's worth it. It's probably the next best thing you can get to actual private lessons with a, you know, seasoned instructor.
There you go,
so to speak. Been doing a lot of garage cleanup. I don't think we're going to have time to talk about some of the stuff I found recently.
Oh, well, but there's got to be a whole show dedicated.
Yeah. This is going to be multiple shows. There's a free preview for the YouTube audience. So if you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, you'll never see what I'm talking about. And we'll just leave it at that. Bought a few things on eBay this week.
Okay, I'm curious about this.
Episode 2, when we did that episode on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Right.
Ever since then, I've just been so back into wanting to get into retro games, like NES games, original Game Boy, Super Nintendo, and all that. And I've been doing a lot of retro gaming. I did that solo show.
Right.
The bonus episode is part of the podcast where I was just talking more about retro games. Well, I went onto eBay and I bought a couple of games. Probably not too surprising, but I bought the original Final Fantasy for the NES and the original Dragon Warrior, games that I used to own back in the day, but got rid of them over the years and never reacquired them.
Right.
So I'm like, these are, you know, my top 2 favorite fucking Nintendo games of all time. We just talked about them. I want to own them again. God damn it. Even though Final Fantasy's on the NES Classic, I still want that physical cartridge.
Right.
So I went on the Final Fantasy, I think was $25, and Dragon Warrior was like 10. So like fuck it, buy it now.
So did you get them? Like
no, I just bought them like a few days ago.
Because that's gonna have to be something that gets you're gonna have to do it for your little mini app. Yeah, you have to throw them in there. Just see like you got to nostalgically blow into the fucking cartridge.
Oh yeah,
you got to work it in there just right. I
Mhm.
mean, just fucking get it in there nice and smooth. Just wiggle just a little bit back and forth.
And that brings me to my last point too, because ever since we did that Nintendo episode, and then I did the bonus follow-up episode, it's really made me want to, I've always wanted to do some type of a retro gaming content creation, be it like streaming, fucking podcasts. If you remember back when I did Project VCR with Doug, I tried to get us to get into more like retro gaming reviews. We did a few episodes on that. Doug was never really into it though, so it kind of died on the vine with the show itself. But it's always something I've wanted to do, even going back to when I was doing the Magic the Gathering podcast. I was still had that in my mind. I want to do some kind of retro gaming thing. Now, the shit's everywhere out there right now. Like, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a fucking retro gaming podcast or YouTube channel. So I gotta try to think of some unique approach. I don't want to just be another, retro game reviewer or whatever. So I got to think of a different way to approach it for the Gen X POV brand and do it as like bonus episodes or whatever of the podcast. But more to follow for sure. And I think I'm going to do another bonus episode this coming Saturday.
I think you should wear like a period piece for the game that you're wearing. Like if you're like,
so if I'm playing Final Fantasy, I have to be in traditional medieval
right
knight garb, and
either a knight or just like as a wizard with the fucking hat.
Her vagine hang like sleeve of wizard. Sorry.
Oh God.
Totally different thing there. But yeah, keep an ear out for some type of retro gaming content that I'm going to put out soon. Not 100% sure how I'm going to approach this yet, but I'm thinking about it. So
good. It's nice.
And I will do it. So what about you? What you been doing this week?
Dude, all those things you said about working out and being consistent. Fuck. Over the weekend, we went Friday night. We were at Big Swedes and we stayed out late. And here's the thing about
was it Friday or Saturday?
It was Friday night.
Okay, I think I said Saturday before.
Yeah, you probably lost an entire day based on the shots.
Oh yeah, like as soon as we get there, he's like, "All right, let's do a Jaeger bomb." I'm like, "Whoa, it's like 5 o'clock."
Big Swede's into bartending. Like he likes doing that shit. So thankfully, since I was driving, I had a couple beers and a lot of Diet Cokes. Too many Diet Cokes. There is such a thing as too many Diet Cokes.
Oh, really?
Because after we got home, it was well after midnight, and I dropped you off, and I got to the house, and now I'm fucking wired for sound because I've been drinking Diet Coke nonstop for 6 fucking hours.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit to wind down. And I swear to God, staying up late is as bad as drinking. Like day drinking and then going to bed on time probably would hurt less than just staying up, because I stayed up late Friday night into Saturday. Saturday, we drove out to State College, had to go out and see Kate. And I think we didn't leave the area until probably 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So it's like 3+ hours out, hung out there for a little bit and then got in the car, came back because I didn't want to spend the night. It's just didn't want to lose an entire day on Sunday within the travel.
Yeah.
Didn't get home till like 1 a.m. again.
Whew. So
come Sunday, now it's like, all right, let's try and like sleep in. But then like Sunday, it was fucking gorgeous out yesterday. It was a perfect like August day, like end of August, like nice and cool, but still warm enough where it was like comfortable, like, summer still.
Yeah.
It was just, God, so nice out. And all I could do, I was in this perpetual like hangover state. Excuse me. And I've had some pain issues and stuff like that. So like I've missed a couple of my bike rides. So I got to get off this 9 today. The only real excuse I had was I was watching my niece. I wasn't going to leave her at the house just so I could ride my bike. So, and I'm drinking now, so I'm not going to drink and then go ride. So I'll probably just ride tomorrow to get it over with. But
just gotta get back into it. Gotta
and that's the thing.
Into that flow.
It's the consistency. But yeah, like you were saying, for some of us that have medical issues that deal with pain and things like that, I think I would rather be sore and hurting from working out than just being sore and hurting for no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be sore and hurting regardless. At least let's have a reason, because like over the past few days, the only thing I was really doing was driving and staying up late. and then I feel like I fell down a fucking flight of stairs.
Mm.
So yeah, get out there and fucking just do it, and give yourself a reason to fucking be in pain. You know, sore, not necessarily in pain. Pain's bad, but earn your showers.
Yeah.
You know, gain some sweat equity.
Indeed. I agree.
So yeah, just staying up late at this age, it's just not. Even when we were driving back, you know, it's midnight. There's like nobody on the road, and it's just like, man, this is really. Jason's like, oh my god, this is so far past my bedtime.
Yeah,
and it is. And
yeah, most nights, if I see 10 o'clock, it's like, why the fuck am I still awake?
Mhm.
You know, normally it's by 9:30, I'm in fucking bed.
And the best part was that he texted me the next day. I was like, oh yeah, what time did you get up? He's like, I was up at fucking 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that's the way it goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, drinking does not beget good sleep.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Proven fact. So one of the things about being at Big Sweets was so we know about the edict, right? For those of you who don't know that are, you know, haven't come from the Star Wars podcast, you know, and are new to the Gen X Point of View podcast, we have in studio, which you actually can't see in the camera right now because of the way the cameras are angled, but there is a wall, a good fucking almost 5 feet of wall, 5 feet by 6 high of Pops.
Yeah, Pops figures.
I have the Funko Pops collection. It's 99% of it's Star Wars, and it's Nick's fault. It's Big Sweet's fault, and because of circumstances that he got me into this fucking this auction or wheel or whatever, and he's like, oh, you know, put in some money so we can finish this out, right? I ended up winning.
Yep.
So I got all these fucking Pops. So I bring him here, and we're talking about him, and then he gets me into another one. I win that one. So like immediately, straight out the gate, I went from having like one Funko Pop to like 35.
Yeah. So fate was basically telling you.
Yes, it was destiny to have. I believe that the number is 100 right now. I think we're right
at an even 100.
I think we're almost, if we're not at with the doubles that are here.
Yeah.
I think we're at the century mark of Pops. Because when we got to the studio today, I saw online somebody that was displaying their Pops and they moved them sideways. I'm like, fuck, brilliant. Yeah. And so I actually gained real estate on the Sacred Jedi Pops.
The Sacred Pops.
And so now they're displayed here. But because I was at Nick's and he had a double of one of the Pops. It was the Q9.
Q09. The bug pilot from the episode of Mandalorian.
He's got with like the
Bill Burr.
Yeah, he's got the 3PO chest and the fucking
yeah. But he was the pilot of the ship, right? The bug guy.
Yeah. Real snarky fucking guy with the Bill Burr episode. Fucking. But Nick had an extra, so he gave it to me. I was like, well, and Nick has all the Mandalorian ones.
Yes,
he almost all
in on Mandalorian.
Almost because he really needs to get the Blurg Mando on Blurg. You have to do this.
Yeah.
You realize that. I know you're getting stabbed with like 1,000 needles right now because he's getting another Star Wars tattoo as we speak.
Yep.
However, you need the Blurg. You should go online right now and take care of that. Just saying. Anyway, yeah. So seeing his Pops and seeing the ones that he had that I kind of want, I'm like, oh, fuck it. I end up buying a Pop. It's the first Pop that has reached my house. Like proper, it didn't get into the house. It was like on the step when Kathy and I came back from doing something on Sunday.
But did she still see it?
It was a big enough box where if I hadn't gave it away with my face that it was a Pop in there, like because she was like, "Oh, this is really light," and I'm like, "Oh, that's something for the show," and that's all I said. So it was like, "No, we're just gonna put this right in the car," so we have it. So yeah, I ended up getting the number 345 the Mandalorian with the new Beskar armor.
Nice.
I do really got it. Now that they're situated this way, like the numbering really kind of stands out to me a little bit more. So I got to figure out how to group this a little bit better.
Like maybe like numerically?
Yeah. You know how fucking hard that is? Like when I came in today and I started moving some stuff around, right? I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I start doing this, like I'd have to take 100 Pops and put them somewhere so that I could go one.
Well, it'd have to be a two-person job, right? It'd be, you know, you're over there, I'm over here. It's like, all right, give me everything in the teens, and I'll hand you everything that starts with a 1. All right, now we're into the 20s.
But that's the tough part. Like, it's all like it goes from like the 130s to the 270s and then into the 300s.
Well,
and then there's
yeah.
multiple of the same 300. There's if you collect pops at all, like you know that the numbering system is just for shits and giggles. There's no rhyme or reason to the fucking numbering system at all. So yeah, maybe a future time we have a couple drinks before we start the show and maybe we organize the pops.
All right, sidebar.
All right.
Kind of in line with today's topic. Do they make He-Man Funko Pops?
I believe they do.
Okay.
I believe they do.
Something that came into my head as you were talking.
There are so many cool fucking pops out there.
Oh, yeah. They have them for everything.
I want the Rick and Morty pops. But no. Star Wars only. I will only do Star Wars because a line has to be drawn.
Yeah.
The only non-Star Wars pop that I have, actually, that's not true. I have 3 non-Star Wars pops in the entire collection.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's the Kevin Smith one, which
we got that when we went up to Red Bank and did the whole Kevin Smith tour.
Right. We had the guys from the Escape Pod come up for our 100th episode. We gave them the fucking tour. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's a signed Kevin Smith pop.
Yeah.
So I've got that one. I've got a Philly Fanatic pop.
Of course.
And a Carson Wentz pop. Yes.
All right.
I'm on the Wentz wagon, man. I am a Wentz fanboy.
I could make so many injury jokes right now.
Go fuck yourself. You're gonna have an injury. You're not gonna be running for a fucking month after I destroy your fucking Achilles.
Wow. Did you hear that? He just physically threatened me right here, live on the podcast.
Yeah, in a very specific way, too.
Indeed. So, all right. If anything happens to me, I'm counting on you guys, the listeners.
I like they're making recommendations for me to get certain pops in the fucking chat. No, I cannot do it. As it is right now, I have to launder any pops that come forward, that come from this point forward.
I mean, thank God Kathy doesn't listen to the actual show.
Well, I mean, she's working till fucking 6:30 anyway, so I've got about an hour before the yeah. Anyway,
fair enough.
But yeah, so I was able to, for probably a good more than a month, I would say. I went more than a month without procuring a pop.
That's good. That shows big restraint.
It was. And now it's gone because of fucking Haldo Swede.
Right. Yeah. He opened the floodgates. He gave you one. See, that was it. It was the gateway drug, right?
It was.
Like,
it was.
This one's free.
Yep.
And now you got to.
Right. He who gains nothing except for the fact that I'm also suffering from his affliction.
Right.
For wanting to. It's a completionist thing, too. Like with the Mandalorian ones. Like, they're like, oh, we're only going to get this certain size. Well, now the child ones are a little bit different size. Yeah. And you get like, oh, or now the boxes are different size. Now, fuck it. You might as well get the fucking Mandalorian on Blurg.
Yeah. Which, by the way, there's like fucking 4 different versions of the fucking child. One with the frog in his mouth, one holding the fucking teacup. I don't know, one with a thumb up his ass.
Well, there's one where he's using the Force. There's one where he's closing his eyes using the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's...
So
and here's the fucked up part. So Don Solsky from the Escape Pod brings up in the chat that Ralph McQuarrie ones are coming out.
Right.
Yes, they are.
We were talking about the Vader one the other night.
The motherfuckers who, I don't know who knows when this shit's going to actually hit the fucking sites, because Nick is on this shit like white on rice, man. He's on his GameStop app and everything else. Like he's good with getting pre-orders and shit.
Yeah.
These Ralph McQuarrie ones, gone. Like instantaneously gone. Like,
I believe it.
So now you can go on eBay and you can pay somebody $50 to get their pre-order that they probably spent $15 on, if that much.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a market out there for it, but I'm not as cool as they fucking are. I can't see spending $50. I just can't.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of fucking money for a pop.
Yeah.
And there's other, I mean, or if I really, really wanted it, then I'd probably have to sell one of the pops that I have that are worth that much.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that either. So I don't know. Fucking pops, man. It's
Oh, Bronco Fett has the He-Man Faker pop on pre-order.
What?
Yeah. So
that's a very specific pop too.
And we were talking about Faker before we went live, but we'll get into that.
We'll get there. That's our main topic. We're not there yet.
Yeah. So anything else on your week besides the pop?
I don't think so. It's just been
yeah. I feel you.
And here we are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Things are about to get a lot crazier for me on the professional side
Mhm.
this week, as we got all kinds of shit going on at work that's going to affect my life for the next 6 months. I'm sure you'll hear me complain about all of the fuckage going on.
Just make sure that you check out your M9 and get your face paint.
Yeah, obviously. And
Obviously.
my rations.
Right, and your
you
rations.
know, what else? I need my sleeping bag.
Oh yeah.
That's-
Absolutely. Need a sleeping bag. Need your circa 1978 web gear.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I need all those pockets for my knives and all my survival gear.
And your helmet. You're going to need a helmet because you got to go.
Well, I need a helmet anyway.
You can't operate a vehicle without a helmet. Oh wait, no, that's the Army.
Oh, good shit. All right.
Anyway,
anybody not in or formerly in the military has no idea what the fuck we're talking about right now. So.
I like Lunar Girl's comment right here. Hang on, let me throw up in there. Ugh, the song of our people.
Indeed,
yes, it is.
Indeed, it is. That's Gen X in a nutshell for you. So, are we ready to move on to our main topic?
He-Man.
Yes. And quite frankly, we could spend multiple episodes on this topic. Hopefully, we can do it justice over the course of one episode, because I know for me, this was a huge part of my childhood. Like, potentially bigger to me as a child than Star Wars was, if you can believe that.
It's a bold statement, but it makes sense based on the timing of when He-Man came out.
Right. Yeah, because you think about when Star Wars ended. I was 6 years old in 83. Yeah, about to turn 7 when the last Star Wars movie of our childhoods came out. Yes, there was some more expanded stuff that came out, the Ewok movies and all that, but I was just starting to get into, things like action figures and toys and all of that stuff. And yes, Star Wars was huge at that time, but for anybody who's had children, it's like, all right, well, what's next? Right? Because that fad only lasts for so long until they're ready for the next big shiny thing. And for me, He-Man was that next thing. And oh my God, I don't even know where to start with this. Okay, let's rewind a little bit. So here's what we're going to do for the purposes of this podcast. We went back and we rewatched the first episode of the first season of He-Man. So we're going to break that specific episode down a little bit. Kind of themes that you see throughout the whole course of the rest of the series.
Yes, indeed.
And
maybe even some of the animation.
Yeah, and then we're going to talk about the toys. Oh man, the toys. So much to go into with those. And then, I don't know, we'll wrap it up.
Some sort of way.
Indeed. So for our history with this, for me, the way it started was, I don't even remember. I just remember Star Wars being my big thing, right? I had Star Wars toys, and then all of a sudden, like a switch flipped, and it was immediately He-Man in 83 or 84. When did He-Man come out?
I think the figure started coming out in 82, I think.
Okay. So yeah, I think it had started. It wasn't quite on my radar yet, but maybe, less than a year in, all of a sudden it was fucking everywhere. And that was the new shiny thing for me. And I had to have it. I only started off with a couple of figures, but it quickly grew. There are pictures of me, Christmas of either 83 or 84, opening up a fucking Castle Grayskull, ripping the fucking wrapping off. Like, my mom still has these pictures somewhere. I mean, it was the toys more than the show. Like, trust me, I love the show as well. And we're going to talk a lot about that in detail. But for me, it was more about the toys. I was more about the imagination part and less about the just watching it and being entertained on TV.
Right.
And it was the same way when I got into like G.I. Joes and Transformers later on in the decade. But yeah, for He-Man, it was all about the toys. I had my handful of toys. And this kind of leads into meeting my best friend, Rob, for the first time. So I know I've talked about him a couple of times on the show. He and I grew up together. We met when we were like 5 or 6 years old. We were like brothers up until the day that he died. So I was living in this little apartment in Bakersfield, California. I had my like 2 or 3 He-Man figures. I'm just wandering around our little apartment complex. I come around the corner and I see this kid who's just about my age with a fucking Castle Grayskull and a couple of He-Man figures. And he's just sitting there by himself playing. And I'm just like, oh, And my mother tells this story. She'll tell this story to anybody who listens. What she remembers is me running into our apartment, going, "Oh my God, there's a kid right over there. He has Castle Grayskull. I gotta go!" And I grab all of my He-Man figures, like I scoop them all up into my arm, and I sprint back out the door. And he and I started playing He-Man together, and that was the start of our friendship. And it was just an instant bond from there. So it was something that we both shared. And over the next, God, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, maybe, He-Man was my number one obsession, more than Star Wars, more than anything else. He-Man, and it was because of the toys. And then we had the show that was kind of secondary to me, but I mean, it was still great. But there was a weird continuity break between the show and some of the other lore of He-Man that we'll talk about when we get into some later stuff.
Right.
So for you, what do you remember? How do you remember getting into He-Man and everything?
Well, ironically, it's the inverse. So the cartoon was something that I was more exposed to than the figures, because for me, it was Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars, and then Star Wars. Star Wars, having the ships and like all the stuff leading into kind of Return of the Jedi in '83. Like He-Man for me was like, here's this cartoon that I enjoyed, like after school type thing.
Yeah.
And then the toys, I think my cousin Ricky had the first He-Man toy that I had saw. I'm like, oh wow, those look like fun.
Yeah.
And then kind of got asked for some like birthday or whatever. And then, got myself a He-Man, got a another toy. And then he had all the fun stuff. He had the Castle Grayskulls. He had the fucking the stupid chariots that
yeah.
Which
we see that in episode 1.
We'll get to that in a second. But he had all the fun stuff, and he had Castle Grayskull and all that. And go there and play. And that was kind of my exposure to He-Man. I was still more into the smaller figure that fit into my vehicles.
Right.
I like
the
having
Star Wars and the G.I. Joe type stuff.
But yeah, G.I. Joe, I don't think came out until like the mid 80s, like where it really got popular.
The good ones. Yeah. Some of the earlier cruder ones, still like the 3.5 inch, were out in the early 80s, but they were like the shittier ones.
Yeah, this was like G.I. Joe for me was I kind of leapt over He-Man and got more into G.I. Joes.
Okay.
Because G.I. Joes could fly in the Millennium Falcon.
Right, of course.
And vice versa.
Right.
So for me, it was more about He-Man coming on after school, and this is just part of my afternoon.
Right.
Watching it in black and white.
Yeah.
Because that's what you had it on.
And Luna Girl brought up a point in the chat about the Saturday morning cartoons. He-Man was kind of the first cartoon that sort of bucked that trend, because like you said, they started doing these cartoons every day after school, like 3:30, 4 o'clock. These fucking shows would start coming on. They did it with He-Man. They did it with Transformers.
Yep.
That was a big thing. And
G.I. Joe.
Sure G.I. Joe did too. Ninja Turtles.
Yep. Thundercats.
Thundercats. Oh my God. We got to do a whole episode on Thundercats. Holy shit. That was the shiny toy for me. Like somewhere between He-Man and G.I. Joe, somewhere mixed in there. But yeah, Thundercats was a big thing too.
But and Bronco Fett is in there too. He-Man was the after school thing. And that's what it was. It was like, come home, be able to get my homework done, and then it came on just in time, to before dinner type of. While it was still kind of light out, like so much for me is environmental, right? Because I'm a visual thinker, so and my memory I'll have of this is what I was doing, like sitting on the floor of my bedroom, looking at the screen. And like it being relative, like in the fall, like while school's happening and it's starting to get dark. Because honestly, for me, like cartoons in the summertime weren't a thing. I was fucking out.
Sure,
right? Yeah. I don't
know if they even followed the same schedule. Honestly, during the summer that they.
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Because even on the weekends, like Saturday mornings after Saturday, a certain part of Saturday, you would you'd try and get outside and fuck off. Or maybe that was just, my parents getting me out of the fucking house. So I was tearing shit up. But
yeah, I remember summers being a lot of sleepovers, sleepovers for me, like going to other people's houses and all that stuff. So never really being home to watch fucking cartoons or whatever.
But yeah, so I had He-Man figures. Obviously, I wasn't sheltered.
Yeah.
But
you weren't a complete nerd.
Right. More of a dweeb, not less a nerd, I guess, at the time. But yeah, I was still at that age, like, we're talking 7 years old for me.
Yeah.
I'm 7 going on 8 years old, where like the space shuttle's still like really big for me.
Mm-hmm.
Models and flying planes and shit like that. So He-Man really didn't fit in that category for me.
Yeah.
It was just like this ripped dude with this ripped dude with accessories that just would not stay on his body.
Right.
Ever.
So all right, sidebar. There was a period of time, which I know now it like okay, I won't even get into now, but there was a period of time, I want to say 90s, where the whole conversation started going about, unrealistic expectations for girls, right? People criticizing Barbies, how they're also thin and they're also, curvy, and it gives these unrealistic expectations for girls. Motherfucker, look at He-Man.
Right.
Talk about unrealistic expectations for guys. The fucking biceps on that motherfucker, the pecs, his fucking abs.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He had muscles on muscles.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like and every character in the fucking show, there wasn't like, except for Orko,
right?
Every motherfucker is built like a brick fucking shithouse,
Yeah.
whether they're on the good side or the bad side.
Mm-hmm. Even Skeletor, who sounds like a bitch,
Yeah,
who you would think is like thin like a skeleton. No, he's fucking jacked.
Yeah. Even the skeletons are fucking jacked in He-Man. So,
but I mean, the whole concept, it's all super homoerotic anyway, which we'll get into.
And what's funny too is I had thumb wrestlers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was my wrestling experience, like, you're super into wrestling, right?
I was, yeah.
And
not so much anymore.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like the Junkyard Dog, Rowdy Piper, like real early wrestling, like not the beginnings of wrestling, but right in that where we were as kids.
Yeah, the rock and wrestling of the 80s.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan and all that shit.
Yeah.
The thumb wrestlers, these dudes who are fucking ripped in real life, the thumb wrestlers, they looked like Fat Batman. I mean, it's just like they have bulk, but they're not like ripped.
Yeah.
Whereas compare that to fucking He-Man, which is like, good God, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. That's the industry standard of fucking what Arnold aspires to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, was like fucking Arnold, right? They took like a 20-year-old Schwarzenegger and fucking just modeled these things after his fucking super roided out fucking body.
And then ironically, they've made Dolph Lundgren He-Man.
We'll get into that. God. I didn't even want to talk about the He-Man movie, quite frankly, but
you have to have this conversation.
We'd be remiss if we didn't.
Yeah.
So, anything else as far as your history with He-Man before we start talking about this first episode?
A lot of the stuff is gonna fade in and out for like different exposure stuff, especially when we talk about individual toys.
Yeah, and I think before we get any deeper.
Oh yeah, already?
Yeah. Where
it's in there. You had it.
Did I?
Yeah.
Hold on.
You're gonna unplug your mic.
No, that's the look here. We haven't used that in a long time.
Is it over here? Here it is.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we get into this first episode and kind of talk some details about the show, we do need to take a very quick break and be right back after this word from our sponsor.
We, meaning him. He needs to take a break.
Yes. To reiterate.
The best part is now in Swede Studios, there is a fucking I have to pee sign.
Yes, I made for him. You're welcome.
And signed for him. Shout out to David Schmuck for posting your show on social media. Thank you, Mr. Schmuck. I appreciate that. Who took it? Who took what? What? We're going to cover that movie. We're going to talk about the movie. I don't know that we're going to cover it per se. And we weren't going to even mention it, but I forced it into the notes. Because it has to be mentioned. For all the good that is He-Man, the bad has to be brought out as well. gonna talk about this in the show, but just because it's in my head, like this fucking music, like when you watch the show, and Jason put a link in, I think the Cantina for the show that we're going to be talking about. The fucking music immediately just embeds, like it opens up this fucking soundtrack that you never knew was there, or you knew it as something else. Because for me, as I like listening to it, I'm like, I could have placed that on 4 different fucking shows. That soundtrack. There's a new animated He-Man show coming out that Kevin. See, put a pin in that, Mr. Schmuck. We'll talk about that there at the end. The reboots and what's not.
Oh yeah, that's in the notes. So, all right, I feel much better.
Good.
We're ready to get back to it.
You know why I realized I haven't been drinking this so much. Like the Keith Lehman brought that, right?
When the Red Stag.
Yeah, and it's delicious, but it's my glass is broken. Did you see that?
Yeah, it's been like that.
Has it really?
Yeah, I think it happened in the dishwasher.
Oh.
So anyway, why haven't you been?
Well, it tastes good, but it's still Jim Beam, so it's like it's not good bourbon.
Right. All right, fair enough.
Fruity bad bourbon.
We ready to get back into it?
But thank you, Keith, if you're listening.
Yes. All right. So let's do 30 seconds of silence.
We're doing the clock.
No. We're going to do it on my thing. So it's just going to look awkward on the fucking stream. But that's what we do.
Perfect.
We make things awkward.
Awkward silence. I like it.
So 30 seconds of silence starting now. And we're back.
Do you find yourself holding your breath sometimes for those things?
Yeah, pretty much all the time.
All right, fair enough.
So I thought it would be fun as part of this episode for us to go back and rewatch the first episode of the series of He-Man. Because quite frankly, I haven't watched an episode of this fucking show in a long. Briefly revisited it in the 90s at some point.
Right.
But we're still talking a couple of decades removed.
Yeah.
And now the show is approaching 30 fucking years old. No, 40 years old.
It's approaching 40.
Holy shit.
It's approaching 40. And I don't think I have watched it since the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd seen a minute of it since the 80s.
And I know it's legitimately on some streaming service. I can't remember which one, but all you have to do is go to YouTube. It's all over fucking YouTube. It was not hard to find these episodes at all. I think I just threw in one basic search and it immediately is like, oh, would you like to watch the whole first season on YouTube? Why, yes, I would.
Yes. And for the record, before we get any further from it, Rick, if you're watching, yes, I did give the link to the cartoon mecha for the things, but we did it on YouTube anyway. So, but I did give him
yes,
all the time you're yelling at me. I gave him the link.
Yes, he did. Yeah, as we were driving to Big Swede's party, actually.
Yes.
So, but I still have it
in the rain, in the pouring fucking rain.
Yeah.
When I probably shouldn't have been on my phone.
Yeah, fuck it. It's our thing, is what we do.
Yep.
So let's run through this first episode. This first episode was titled Diamond Ray of Disappearance. Oh my God. One thing that I really liked about this, before we even get into the intro, was the fact that they hopped right into it. There was no fucking backstory. If this was made today, first of all, He-Man would be bitten by a fucking radioactive, roided out jock.
He'd have to have some sort of fucking backstory.
Yeah, he'd have to be bitten by a fucking roided out crackhead or something. Yeah. And that's how he gets his fucking superpowers.
Smoke rocks, Joe Rogan.
But no, it's they jump right into it. We don't even jump to He-Man or Prince Adam at first. It jumps right to fucking Skeletor.
Right.
Yeah, planning his next scheme, insinuating that he's already had dozens of battles with He-Man. So I digress. Before we even get into that, though, the fucking intro. Oh, the intro. So, I mean, as soon as I watched this, it all came flowing back to me. Prince Adam walking up. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia, and keeper of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. And this is my companion, Cringer. Something or other. I can't remember the exact monologue.
But yeah, I forgot that the monologue existed. I just remember the music from back in those days. Then when he started into that diatribe, I'm like, they did this for every fucking show.
They did.
Every fucking show they did it. I'm like, oh my God.
And then powerful secrets were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said,
by the power of Grayskull.
Yes, and then it goes into the He-Man music.
I have the power.
And oh my God, the music, this fucking He-Man theme, which we will hear about 54 more times before the end of this 20-minute episode.
20 minutes, and yes, absolutely. It's on a continuous loop. I think if we just sat there without the looking at it and just sat there and listened, we could probably count at least 50 times. Fucking hear music.
But at the same time, it's so good. It gets you pumped every fucking time because every time He-Man goes into battle, fucking the theme music kicks in, fucking and the whole time I'm thinking now, like, He-Man, fuck yeah, you know, like this was our America, fuck yeah, of the early 80s, you know,
yanking the sword out of God knows where, like, swing and fucking holding it off. It's kind of a sidebar, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the show, you know, the first thing I thought about when I was watching it in the intro, and the first time he's like, by the power of Grayskull, right? That the fucking action figure could never do that move.
No, because the arms go like this.
No, they don't even do that. They're like this because he's fucking built like this. Can't wipe his own ass type thing. You can't. So you always had the fucking sword in his hand, and you're trying to do like He-Man, and you can't do it. He's like, yeah.
And he doesn't even come with that sheath in the back anyway that you could like pull the sword out of. I don't think.
No, it was built into the fucking
into
that thing.
Okay.
Into the how you doing?
Like what would you even call that? The fucking the X.
They call it armor.
Yeah,
it's armor for his nipples. Apparently.
I mean, can we talk about the way they dress on Eternia, or don't dress?
What the fuck is Eternia? Okay, So right away we get this fucking fantasy world called Eternia, right? Where they've got this flying fucking pillowcase with a goddamn Fantasia hat on that does bad
Orko,
fucking
the wizard.
Every single fucking show has the same rhythm. Like every single one of them. Man at Arms gets annoyed with fucking Orko, and fucking shenanigans ensues, and then fucking Adam and the deep throw your head back laughing, and then some shit goes down.
Yeah, and it's like, Skeletor's trying to fuck around again.
Yep, and He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. So you had right there, most powerful man in the universe. Done.
Yeah.
Dunzo. Fucking give it up.
Yeah.
Skeletor, what the fuck? You're buffed as shit. You got all fucking people. You got Evil Lily or whatever the fuck her name was.
Evil Lily, but we'll get to her. Trust me.
You have
the full roll call coming.
You have everything you possibly want. What the fuck is your beef with fucking Eternia?
Yeah, well, and Bronco Fett brings up a good point in the chat. If you watch the second episode of the season, which I ended up doing, it goes into his mom's backstory. Adam's mom, He-Man's mom, is actually from Earth, and she was in a fucking spaceship, and she crash landed on fucking Eternia.
Mork from Mork.
And then she boned one of the locals, and He-Man was born.
The king knew what was up.
Yeah.
It was like, Earth pussy. Yes. Indeed.
So, okay. Can we just talk about how extremely gay Prince Adam is?
Oh, yeah.
I know this has been a joke and a meme probably since the fucking 90s. Holy hell, man. With the fucking pink shirt and the white undershirt and the fucking Prince Valiant haircut.
Yeah.
And the very...
Well, what came first? He-Man having a haircut or Prince Valiant?
Well,
I mean,
well, that's another question. Why the secrecy? Okay, I understand. You get your... Because this is very Clark Kent Superman like stuff, right? Where it's like, okay, well, I have to keep my secret identity.
There's not even the glasses, though. It's not even glasses.
No, it's like the suit. It's the fucking the bandolier.
Like Adam's still fucking jacked to shit. Yeah. Like, thankfully, everyone on that planet's all built the fucking same. Otherwise, it would look really dumb.
Well, and how fucking retarded is everybody on that planet? Where there's like, well, Adam and Cringer disappeared again,
right?
But well, He-Man and Battle Cat just happened to show up at the same time,
saving the day.
Oh my god!
I wish Orko could. What did the king say? I wish Orko could make Adam.
Well, that was at the end of this episode.
He-Man.
So, all right, we're kind of jumping ahead here, but Skeletor attacks the fucking castle, right? And as soon as he does, Teela, who's like the general of the fucking army, like rallies her fucking troops.
Which I forgot. I forgot that, you know, all these people that bitch about like not having strong female characters, like she was in charge of the guards.
Yeah, she was
not Man at Arms. Not Man at Arms. I always thought Man at Arms was the guy.
No, he was just kind of like the guy off to the side.
He's the fucking he's Teela's father. That's it. That's his job.
Yep.
However they produce. I mean, I don't even know.
Well, episode 2 gets into her backstory and everything, but
oh god.
So yeah, but as soon as like shit goes down at the fucking palace, Adam's out and the dad. Oh my god, this was the best part of this whole fucking episode. The king, he's like, ugh, if only he were more of a prince, as he sees Adam like fucking bailing.
Yeah, taking off.
Which in my mind, what I'm hearing is, oh, I wish my son wasn't such a pussy or such an F word.
Yes.
You know.
Absolutely. I wish he wasn't such a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Right. And here he goes. He's fucking going taking off. And then no. Oh, Battle Cat is a fucking extremely rare fucking green with orange striped tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And so is Cringer.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
Yeah, their stripes are exactly the same.
Put a fucking helmet. Let's just put a helmet on him and a fucking riding crop.
Who is this cat? I've never seen you before.
I've never seen this thing. Wow. Because Skeletor's panther. Normal fucking all right. Yeah, that looks more like a panther.
But
even
the
toy.
The toy did have the armor piece that went on, just like Battle Cat. But anyway, I digress. So the whole point of the secret, right? Think about Spider-Man, right? Peter Parker's got to protect his fucking family if like his evil, villains ever find out who he really is, they'll go after his family. Skeletor's already going after the fucking Eternia Palace.
Right.
Like, there is no additional danger if your fucking family knows that you're fucking He-Man.
I would feel like the danger would be by hiding. If you were fucking He-Man, it's just like, hey, I'm just going to take this little armor off, my nipple protector.
Yeah.
I'm going to hang it on the front door and be like, hey, guess what? He-Man is here.
Yeah, that would be more of a deterrent.
All the time.
Yeah.
And everyone else is going to go like, Skeletor, you can't take him. So fucking go fuck off and do something else. Right. Go attack Earth.
Yeah, because episode 1 of the series, the first thing Skeletor does is attack the palace.
Yep.
What are you protecting by hiding this secret identity at this point?
And they're dumb as fuck too. Like, where Skeletor is going to draw the entire palace guard and their fucking flying wave runner, things.
Which, by the way, those wave runners or whatever you want to call them, that is exactly what the fucking toys look like.
Exactly what the toy like. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh fuck, that was the toy.
Yeah,
that was exactly the toy.
Because it was an attachment that went onto like a bigger vehicle.
Yeah,
and then the front end popped off.
Yeah, it went pink. Like you hit a button and it like shot off the front of it.
Yeah,
kind of like a Voltron's arm.
Right,
big plastic Voltron.
Talk about Voltron too.
Oh, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. Trust me.
So, but yeah, I don't understand that. But anyway, taking a step back here, we start off with Skeletor talking about the fucking diamond of disappearance, right? So, and him and Beastman, which they're really original with a lot of these names, by the way. Skeletor, Beastman, He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Merman. So, but we immediately go into a roll call of villains, right? So it's roll call time. Skeletor calls out to all of his men. Merman.
Right.
Evil Lyn.
Go over to the transmitter.
Yeah. Triclops. And then Trapjaw. So, speaking of which, he calls him Trapjaw, the Wizard of Weapons. The first time we see this motherfucker in combat, he's like, I can't get the fucking thing on.
Why does this never sit right?
These things never fit. I'm like, you're supposed to be the Wizard of Weapons, and you can't even fit the fucking attachment onto your goddamn arm?
Well, He-Man might be the master of the universe. Skeletor is the master of fucking not understanding what's going on around him.
Right, yeah. The not master of situational awareness.
There you go.
Oh, my God. I have a whole side story about Trapjaw, but we'll get into that when we talk about the fucking the toys. There was one point though where Teela, she fucking gets the guard out. They're like fighting Skeletor's men, and she sees Trapjaw and she runs up to him. She's like, I got you. She sticks her fucking sword in his face. She's like, what you got now?
Sword.
Wait, it's
Pig
more-
sticker.
Yeah, either way, and he's just like, and he just takes a fucking bite off the end of the fucking sword.
And it's like, oh, it's delicious.
yeah, it's like holy shit.
Like, and then she actually, like, the animators went through the trouble of going and giving her like a oh fuck,
Right.
like, kind of step back.
Well, yeah,
after
like
that.
this motherfucker just bit off the end of her sword, which, you know, maybe that's some more of the homoeroticism coming in. It's like, I only bite swords, you know,
Oh,
you've got nothing for me, woman.
What's that? Isn't there like some disease that was in the 19th century that like for lockjaw? Isn't that what?
That's well, no, he's Trapjaw.
I know, but
Lockjaw.
it's got to. Oh fuck. Anyway, somebody in the chat help me out.
Yeah, Isaac's in the chat. He'll hook us up. So, but yeah, no, she fucking stuck her sword in his face, or her. I don't even. It was like a fucking knife almost. Maybe a
Yeah,
dagger.
basically.
And he just like, I'll take that.
Where are the guns? Like they have
They have
like,
guns on the vehicles, it seems.
right, but why not carry one?
Yeah, no
because
I can't remember anybody who has a blaster pistol. Man at Arms has a fucking lightsaber, apparently,
Yeah.
which we saw during the fucking Palace raid, which you can't tell me that was a fucking accident. Star Wars was just ending.
oh yeah,
And there's no fucking way Man at Arms having a laser sword was not a fucking coincidence.
I can't wait to start talking about the toys because it's some of the stupid shit that what these fucking toys represented.
Oh, I know.
Like what happens when you mimic a toy or the show immediately after the toy? Like you have these unrealistic proportions. You have vehicles that don't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
That just happen to be an easy mold to fucking make. Because that was one of those toys where if you never put the fucking stickers on it, it looked exactly like it did in the fucking show.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. That was the whole point behind a lot of this stuff with the He-Man. Not necessarily G.I. Joe. I think G.I. Joe was a kind of a separate thing, but He-Man, Thundercats, Voltron, all of that stuff was created to sell toys.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Star Wars where they created Star Wars first. Lucas had this whole universe in his mind. And then, they just fucking fell backwards into luck with how successful the fucking merchandise was.
And G.I. Joes were around way before the show came out.
Right.
I mean,
You had
in
the
a different
taller
form or
figures,
fashion.
yeah.
Like so the G.I. Joe brand was already established by the time you got to a cartoon phase.
And quite frankly, I think we have Star Wars to thank for stuff like this, for your He-Man, your Thundercats and all that stuff, because these companies realize, well, fuck, I'm just going to make a toy and a cartoon at the exact same time that has, each, like the elements of the toys in it, so that we can just fucking sell toys to these dumbass kids.
Listen, I might be putting the cart before the horse here, but for me, He-Man was the gateway drug to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well,
because
same
they're
story.
basically it's the same like build. You had the super muscular fucking turtle.
Yeah, they're
characters.
just turtles that are just like
Right.
jacked to the fucking gills.
That'll be a whole nother. Expect a whole nother show on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And speaking about unrealistic expectations for girls, fucking what's her name?
Which one?
From Ninja Turtles.
Oh, April.
April. The fucking cans that they drew on her in that fucking cartoon. Holy shit!
Because why wouldn't you?
Well,
I mean, like the only thing with April was their fucking hairstyle, but it was the fucking 80s.
Yeah, it was the late 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, women wore shoulder pads with their fucking dresses and outfits for some reason during that time.
Oh my god.
But anyway, what were we talking about?
Tetanus. Thank you. Tetanus.
Tetanus gave you lockjaw?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I think, like, because the metal with whatever his name is, it's not. Is it Lockjaw?
It's
No.
Trapjaw.
Trapjaw.
The character.
Yeah. Always made me think the same fucking thing.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, Isaac. Means nothing. It means nothing to anybody else but me. But thank you very much.
The rest of this show, it's mostly just like we said before, the He-Man theme playing alongside He-Man just kicking ass the whole time.
Kicking ass. Okay, so this is where I start to be an over analytical adult while I'm watching this, right?
Okay.
So if you're looking at this animation, it is the same. You can take this animation and change like the watercolor in the back,
Mhm.
and it's basically the same scenes every fucking episode.
Yes.
It's the He-Man running thing,
Oh yeah.
From a distance, and he's kind of running towards it.
Oh yeah.
You get this whole like, oh, why? It's
Or the punch when he at the very end of the fucking intro, he fucking does the punch towards the screen.
Mhm.
You see that exact same punch, that exact same animation later on when he
every time
when he like breaks that fucking rock creature.
Well, and so you got the Power Grid, so the Power Grid or whatever.
Yeah, they
and
just
then fucking
use all that.
Shoots the shit at Battle Cat, like
Yeah.
Same. That's the same. But I expect it for that because okay, it's the same sequence. He fucking he zaps in front of Gray Skull,
Yeah.
and then does this thing, which I don't understand why. Like I'm watching, I'm like, I don't understand why Castle Grayskull exists where it does, and then he's this like I don't remember enough about it. Like I watched the show, I watched thousands of hours of this show as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot put together those penguins to fucking tell me like why these things are happening.
Well,
like I forgot that Sorceress was she can only show herself in the fucking castle.
Right.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Well, did you forget that she was Tila's mother also?
Yes.
Yeah.
Until Bronco Fett brought up in the chat.
Yeah. So it's, and I think it's one of those things when you're fucking 6 years old, 7 years old or whatever, that shit goes over your head. You don't fucking
You don't even care.
All you care is about He-Man. And again, as I'm watching it this time around, I'm getting pumped. When we go into these fucking battle sequences, even though it's like the fucking 15th time we've heard the goddamn theme.
Oh god.
Just seeing him rolling up on somebody and just fucking pow.
All right. I forgot about the Skeletor's robots. I forgot all about the fucking robots.
Well, they didn't have toys for those.
I don't think they did.
So yeah,
they're probably like, these probably nobody's going to buy this shit. Yeah. But they made the fucking Ram guy.
Oh, Ram Man. Of course.
They made Ram Man, which basically was the fucking robot, just without paint on it.
Right. Exactly.
Oh my god, that was the thing with the show. It was as I'm watching it as an adult, I'm like, I'm watching this animator. The fact that there was a list of animators at the backside of it is like these animators, they worked for a fucking week and that show was on for how many years? Like, I don't think they had to do anything except change the colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, oh, but here it is. Here's He-Man in this situation. And here's the pan shot into fucking Snake Mountain.
Yeah.
And there's fucking Skeletor laughing. It's like even like how it was such an important part of our youth and our cartoon culture at that moment. But sitting here looking at it today, I was like, oh my god, I'm lucky I'm not fucking mentally retarded from having like being this is my basis of entertainment.
Right, because it was very simple, and they probably saved a lot of money on just reusing so much of the animation.
Oh fuck yeah!
Throughout the course of that fucking series. But again, I don't think that the show was as important to whoever fucking made this thing. It was the toys, because that's where the money was made. The show was merely the vehicle to introduce it to the fucking kids,
right?
And then every once in a while throw a new character in there, and then sell fucking toys and make millions.
Yeah, I think you brought this up already, but it just popped into my head like this whole stereotype issue, like how you couldn't do this today with these fucking characters. Like the amount of like, okay, this is this stereotypical person. This is Beastman. He talks with a lisp. This is the Cyclops guy. He's mentally retarded. This is like all the bad guys are a little bit off.
Oh, and I loved how they ended up defeating Triclops in this episode too, because he's got the 3 eyes on the fucking spinning disc. They just grabbed the fucking disc and just
like, I'm spinning.
I'm so dizzy. It's like that's it. That's all it took to fucking.
I guess when everybody's fucking jacked, like Arnold at his fucking prime, then strength goes out the window. Now it's just like we're matching wits.
Yeah,
and. Yeah. All right. We're gonna throw the guy. We're gonna throw the guy who's the wizard of the fucking ocean or whatever. What's his name? Merman.
Yeah. Throw him into the mud.
And throw him into the fucking mud. Yeah. Like mud is water. What is happening? And he's like, oh, like did the voice actor just get like some water? Like, help him out. He's choking.
And I don't even know what they were going for with Triclops in his voice. It was a very weird robotic voice. It's
got to be this. I'd love to see the background, like see these guys in the booth, right? Yeah. Probably drinking whiskey. And just be like, all right,
doing fucking tons of coke.
Yeah. We need another voice for this. All right, hang on a sec.
Oh,
all right, perfect. That's going to be the voice for that guy forever.
Oh, and later on in the show, you get another weird thing with voices when He-Man has to go to fucking Grayskull to commune with Sorceress through the fucking mirror of truth or whatever.
Mirror on the wall.
And the fucking dialogue between the two, the way he's delivering his dialogue, Sorceress, what do I do? It's like, just talk normal. Why do you have to talk like some fucking...
Hello? Sorceress, what the fuck?
And she's like, He-Man, you must destroy the crystal.
So I think there's this crossover for like generational and where we were even with movies, like how Castle Grayskull is really fucking spooky, which always threw me for a fucking loop. Was like, why is Grayskull like this dark fucking this skeleton face with the fucking jaw and all of this? Why is that the home of the good guy?
Yeah.
Right? Why? Like even rewatching, I'm like, I never got that as a kid. Never understood that Grayskull was where fucking He-Man hung out.
Yeah,
and the Sorceress and all that.
And the front and the drawbridge was literally a big skull and a fucking mouth.
Yeah, and the fucking antagonist is a floating fucking skull on a giant roid body.
Yeah.
But no, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. It's watching it at 40 years later, or just about 40 years later. It's just so much of it that I was just like, the nostalgia definitely kicked in.
Oh yeah,
the music, watching and like remembering certain parts of it. As campy as the disappearing death ray or whatever the fuck it is in a goddamn K jeweler box that he fucking opens up, and then when fucking He-Man gets fucking jumps bad on him, he drops it.
Right.
Like, oh no! And he fucking drops it into the crack of the earth, which he goes there, and he fucking pushes the earth open because he's the strongest man in the universe.
Yes.
That's like, okay, again, you win. You win, He-Man. You were the strongest thing in the universe. Awesome. I'm gonna go do something else.
Right. Well,
I'm gonna stop fucking with you. I'm gonna go do something else.
Oh no! But of course, Skeletor has to close with the famous line, "Oh, you win this time, He-Man, but I'll be back," or whatever the fuck he said. So
it's like a vaudeville routine at that point.
I know, right?
Like, just keep coming. And let's face it, we're for He-Man, it was a 20-minute show with a lot of the same animation, but all of our cartoons were basically the same way.
Oh, sure.
Gargamel, like, why the fuck is Gargamel keep fucking with these Smurfs?
Yeah.
Honestly, you get schooled every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why do you keep fucking with them? Why does Wile E. Coyote fucking keep fucking with the Roadrunner?
That's what I was gonna say. You could go all the way back to the Roadrunner and Coyote.
You have these established fucking here's good, here's bad, here's never the two shall meet, right? And that's the way it is for all this. G.I. Joe the same way. Fucking Cobra Commander. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, by any stretch of the imagination, you should be dominating these fucking Joes. No, you fuck it up every time. Every time.
So the show ends. Like, we don't even have to get into how the plot was resolved or any of that. And none of that really matters. But what I forgot about was after the resolution and fucking Gay Adam comes back and he's crashed the fucking chariot.
Crashed the chariot into the fucking thing. Like,
yeah, whatever. And everybody has a good laugh.
You get the king.
He's like, I'm so drunk.
That's right.
My son's gay.
Give me more blow.
Yeah. It goes to like a lesson, which I completely forgot about.
Me too. Same. I completely forgot about it.
It's He-Man talking about, boys and girls, Skeletor tried to take the quick and easy way,
right?
To wealth and fortune and all that, when it's like hard work and doing the right thing is what really pays off.
Right.
So it's like some message about working hard.
I totally forgot.
Oh yeah, same.
Totally
I remember the G.I. Joe ones.
Oh yeah,
like G.I. Joe did it every episode.
Because
the battle, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, because you're there with the kids and the whole thing. Like they broke the fourth wall at the end of the fucking show.
Yeah. I forgot He-Man did that.
So did I.
Completely forgot about that.
And my question and I was saving for the show did it carry through the entire series? Like, we're watching like phase 1, day 1 of this joint, right?
Yeah.
What was it after the 5th season? Were they still doing shit like that? In all these reboots, did they try and do the same fucking thing?
I seriously doubt it in the reboots. I'm sure that was considered like a passe 80s thing. in the reboots and everything else. But
because and maybe it's the way to feel like for all these coke fiends when they come down off their high, or just like, you know what, this kids are watching this shit. Let's make sure that any kind of fucking nonsense.
Yeah, like all the homoerotic stuff that we threw into this episode.
We're gonna make it kid friendly here at the end. So that, like when the parents hear the theme music and they walk in here and see like, oh, it's a good message at the end.
Right.
Bronco Fett says He-Man works hard and plays hard.
Yeah, he does.
Because when you squeeze his head, his fucking nostrils is open, so you do all the extra blow.
Oh yeah, well that's when we get into the toys. So anything else on the actual show itself, this first episode? I know we kind of breezed through it real quick,
but that's the thing. It's that episode, regardless of whatever's happening, like there's no earth-shattering fucking plot. It's Skeletor, bunch of fucking henchmen going after He-Man. He-Man wins, right? Everyone gets a good belly laugh. Orko fucking is a fucking tool. God, I hated him as a kid even more now.
Really?
Like, how fucking annoying is this character? What the fuck is this thing?
That's a good question.
Like, how could you be a floating fucking pillowcase of magic and be so fucking bad at magic?
Well, I love his first trick too. His first trick is he's got 3 eggs on a fucking cookie sheet, apparently, and he's gonna make the cookie sheet disappear, and they're gonna drop into 3 fucking cups. Wow.
Yeah. Which he makes the cookie sheet fly through the air, cut the fucking chandelier. The chandelier crashes on Man of War, and he's like, motherfucker! I related more to Man of War this entire episode than anyone else.
Yeah. And Lunar Girl mentioned in the chat, Orko is to the 80s what Urkel was to the 90s.
No, I don't think so. No, Urkel was the... no, I can't go there. I can't go there. Orko had served no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he was a shit fucking toy. Like he had that like holograph thing.
Well,
him, right?
yeah, and he was solid. Like I think his arms moved a little bit, but his big gimmick was he was like a top. Like he had this the long fucking thing that you stuck to him and you pulled it out and he
oh shit, yeah.
He spun around on the fucking ground. He was like a top
with bad toy. I must have had something bad must have happened with the Orko because I never liked that fucking character.
And the funny thing is I actually always liked him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Fucking nerd.
You're a fucking nerd. No one likes you. And no one likes you.
Let's face it. I can't talk. We're all fucking nerds.
Yeah.
Shotgun Mark's in the chat.
What is up? So let's talk about some of these toys a little bit.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna share this link in the chat for the people who are following us live. And they can follow along. What are you about over there?
I may have to.
Should we take a break before we get into toys?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a good natural pause.
All right. So Dave has a very special message for everybody.
Yes, I do.
And we will be right back after these words from our sponsors. All right, let me try to catch up on the chat here. See if I missed anything. All right, Shotgun Mark. Check out that link that I sent. We're gonna talk about some of these toys, but man, just looking at some of these toys. Did I do that? Luna Girl, did you see the Key and Peele skit where they revisited Urkel? And they did, the Carl, the actor, like complaining to the head of the TV studio, like this was supposed to be a movie it was called Family Matters, and there's no fucking family in the movie. And then you have the fucking evil Urkel who shows up.
What the fuck?
From Key and Peele. Did you ever see that skit?
Oh no, I don't think I have.
Just look up Key and Peele, fucking Urkel. Oh my god, that was such a good skit. Did you ever see? Speaking of them, you watched all of the Chappelle Netflix specials, right? That he's done over the past few years.
Yeah.
Where he talked about, boycott. You motherfuckers didn't, say anything when I boycotted. And now I got to watch Key and Peele do my show every night because apparently they did a very similar style show to Chappelle's show.
Yeah. Good on them. Because Key and Peele they were good.
They were good. Well, yeah, because you had some classics on there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron. D nice. God. Smashing shit all over the place.
Oh yeah,
that fucking shit was great.
Great.
The the Kringle McKringleberry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Jaron Johnson, Louisiana State.
It's just there's some really good ones.
But did you ever see the one where it was the guy singing the country music song on his acoustic guitar?
I don't think so.
Just look up Key and Peele country music. Oh, good shit.
All right.
So, all right, we're ready to get back to it.
Yeah.
All right.
I was thinking we have to do I have to do a good, like a good quality sound, like El Yucateco theme song that we
You
could
should.
break. We could break
Ooh.
the thing.
I could write something on the keyboard.
There you go.
And then you sing to it.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do.
There you go. Yeah. Let's do it.
Not
It's
right
a
now.
dynamite taste. Fisto, everyone.
We're
we live in a
gonna-
world with a
that's what we're
Fisto
gonna do.
action figure.
We are gonna write an El Yucateco jingle.
Yes.
We're gonna produce it. We're gonna create it, and we're gonna submit it. And I mean,
If nothing else, it'll be great on our fucking show.
yeah.
Fisto, everyone. We live in a world with a Fisto action figure.
Indeed, we do. All right, ready?
I made the mistake of looking up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh no!
I can't.
See, that's
I
eBay
can't
is where you
wait.
get into trouble too, because that's how when I bought those 2 fucking NES games, I went onto eBay. I'm like looking at NES games. Now I'm looking at all kinds of shit. I'm like, ooh, I'd love to get that.
It's that. Well, we'll get it. That's a good topic for when
All
we
right.
talk about the toys.
So 30 seconds of silence starting now. And we're back.
Oh my god.
You all right over there?
Uh huh.
Dave's holding his breath every time. So we talked about the toys a little bit, and I just wanted to expand upon that before we ended this episode, because again, for me, the toys were the biggest part of the He-Man phenomenon for me. From getting-
Phenomenon.
Do, 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 do,
Phenomenon.
do, 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 do.
Phenomenon. Wow.
Wow. I don't know what
Fucking
happened.
COVID came back at you.
Yeah, that was definitely COVID. So, yeah, man. From the original figures going all the way to when we got into some of the real crazy extraneous stuff, like the fucking oh god, what was his name? I'm gonna look at this website here that I linked in the chat.
There is. He linked in the sidebar cantina, and I think he did in the chat as well. This link to Sci-Fi Wire's top, or I think it's every
Pretty much all
Masters
the
in the
He-Man
Universe
figures.
characters
Yeah.
ranked.
So all the way to Modulok, which this one was a fucking character, which basically you built your own character. It came with a shitload of pieces,
right.
and it was sort of a 2-headed insecty kind of looking dude, and you can make his body however the fuck you wanted. Really, really cool, very neat. But that was like the last big part of He-Man that I really cared about. That, and do you remember the fucking slime pits? Do you remember when slime started to be a big thing
Yeah. Oh yeah.
in the fucking 80s?
Yep.
For me, that started with He-Man. They had this fucking play set, right? Where you would put the guy in the bottom and had this fucking skull, and you would pour the slime into the top of the skull, and then it would like coat the fucking character under there. And the whole point of that was they would be mind controlled from that point on when they had the fucking slime on them.
Right.
But, and then from there, slime was fucking everywhere in the 80s. You'd find it in fucking vending machines and those little fucking plastic.
Yeah, we talked about that in the
things.
last episode. And I think there's something to be said for the whole genre that Nickelodeon was producing
yeah,
with
you-
slime, and you can't do that on television.
Oh, we got to do a show on You Can't Do That on
yeah,
television.
dude, I want when we go in like sidebar. We're going to caveat this with a sidebar right now because you can't do that on television. That should be like an expose.
Oh my god!
Because like, where are these people now? Like, what
Besides
Nickelodeon-
Alanis Morissette,
Yeah.
of course.
what Nickelodeon is even today? Like
I couldn't even tell you.
that's
Like
a-
I
that's
couldn't
the
even
whole
tell you
thing.
if it still exists, honestly.
Nickelodeon?
But for what it was back then, that was sort of the Fox network for kids that Fox was for adults at the time in like in the 80s.
Nick Nickelodeon. Anyway.
We're a barbershop duet. So going into some of these. Now, tell me if you remember this, because you weren't big into the toys, so I don't know if you remember, but some of you folks in the chat or listeners might know. Each He-Man figure came with its own fucking comic book, its own little mini comic book inside with the packaging that would give you sort of a background story.
I do remember
on that character.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring that up because specifically for Trapjaw, that's the one that I remember more than any of the others. In this first episode of the show, Trapjaw is just this fucking bumbling idiot who can't even get his fucking arm attachments on correctly. In this comic was so much darker than that. He was supposedly some super fucking powerful being from another dimension that came in and shit-wrecked everybody, He-Man and Skeletor alike, to the point where He-Man and Skeletor had to actually team up to fucking take him down. Do you remember with the toys, He-Man had his fucking sword, but it was really only half of a sword, and Skeletor had his fucking purple sword that was also another half, where if you put the two of them together, it made like the fucking Sword of Eternities or whatever.
I do remember that.
Yeah, that was like a subplot of the toys that I don't know if they ever really touched on in the show.
Oh, why do I know that?
But yeah, the He-Man sword was silver, and it had that little fucking slit that came out of it.
Yeah.
And Skeletor's sword was purple, and it had that little vagina that the fucking slit went into.
The end is purple.
Indeed it was. So, but yeah, they both went together and they created, I think it was called like the Master Sword or the Sword of Eternia or some shit like that. And that was a big part of that Trapjaw comic where fucking He-Man and Skeletor are both getting their fucking asses handed to them by this guy. And they're like, fuck, the only way we can beat this motherfucker is if we combine our swords. But He-Man's like, I'm not giving you my fucking sword. Skeletor's not, I'm not giving you my fucking sword. So they like both put their swords together and they each had their fucking hand on it. And they're running at him with the, like each of their hands on the fucking sword. And they, they fucking cut him down. And
how long was this comic?
Pretty long. And that was the thing, man. Like they all came with these mini little comics that were several pages of story.
Huh.
Which, you got so much more value out of your fucking toys back then.
Well, yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot of competition between those toys either. I mean, when Masters of the Universe was out, I mean, what was it competing against?
I mean Star Wars, really.
Yeah, but for me, where it fell in my demographic was He-Man was something completely different than Star Wars was, because fucking He-Man wouldn't fit in a goddamn Millennium Falcon. I mean, that's really what it came down to. Is like, I have these fucking vehicles, I have these toys that my Star Wars figures fit in. He-Man doesn't fit in there, not as cool. But fucking G.I. Joes, oh Billy, when G.I. Joes could fucking basically fly anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Shotgun Mark mentioned in the chat that he thought that part of the actual show was Skeletor always trying to get the other sword. That might be right.
I don't fucking remember.
We're talking almost 40 years ago, so it's been a while since I've watched this whole fucking series. So that might be true.
While we're talking about the fucking toy, we're specifically talking about Trapjaw, the fucking He-Man toy with the swords. The sword without the little fucking, so the handle, it had that extra piece of plastic.
Yes.
So that it would stay in He-Man's hand.
Yes.
If that plastic broke, the sword did not stay in his fucking hand.
No, not at all.
And that fucking plastic broke immediately.
Yeah.
Like instantaneously, like out of the box. It's like, it's in a vacuum sealed blister pack. And as soon as it hits the air, broken.
Yeah, because He-Man hands weren't like the fucking G.I. Joe toys where they had like the hard grip and everything. You could stick almost any fucking G.I. Joe gun or weapon or whatever into their hands and it would stay. Yeah. He-Man's hands were like this.
Yeah, so the fucking sword was not designed to do anything. I hated that fucking sword. I hated it. I hated the fact that He-Man couldn't stick it in the air. Oh, the power! Couldn't do that. Yeah. Couldn't do fucking that.
His arms were very stiff. Yeah. They didn't bend at the elbows.
It came with a fucking axe and a shield too. Like, I don't remember him ever. You know what? That's a lie. There's a penguin that's swimming around there that says, yeah, he did have the shield at some point.
in the show.
in the show.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, in this first
Very
episode,
rarely.
he certainly didn't.
Very rarely.
In this first episode, all he had was the sword. He had no fucking.
He had the
axe.
sword and the fucking nipple armor,
Yeah.
and that was it.
But again, you got so much value out of fucking toys back then too. You know, you got this fucking toys that probably would last a very long fucking time.
Sure.
They wouldn't break easily.
Just not the accessories, but yes.
Yeah. But then they did come with a lot of accessories and the fucking comic book. You got a lot of value for
Yeah,
your
you
money.
got the like when you got a He-Man action figure, you got the axe, you got the shield, you got the regular nipple armor,
Mhm.
and you got the sword, along with the comic and the action figure itself.
Yeah.
So you're right. It came with everything that it fucking needed. It wasn't fucking buy here, pay here for all these fucking characters.
Right. And then you started getting different versions of He-Man and Skeletor. They were always pretty symmetrical, right? Whenever they would come out with a new version of He-Man, they would come out with a similar version of Skeletor, like the battle damage ones. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Where it had like the fucking like the little rotary thing in his
when
chest.
when you hit it, it would ping. It would come over and
Yeah, there'd be like one scratch in it. Then you hit it again. There'd be like two scratches.
yeah.
There's this one that we're looking at right now, the Thunder Punch He-Man, where you'd like wind him back and his arms would kind of go down. And then when you released, he'd come up with a fucking uppercut.
Right.
So you had several different versions of He-Man and Skeletor like that. But then you had just all kinds of just weird and different shit for all of these different fucking characters. So for instance, I'm looking at Redior. I can't even read that. Redior. Anyway,
Redior.
it's this fucking snake guy.
Rattler. It's Rattler.
Oh, Rattler.
Rattler.
I remember this fucking toy because he's like the snake guy, but his neck extends like for another 6 inches, right? Because he looks like a normal body with like a snake head, but then the fucking head extends like a snake, I guess. So, and you've got several characters that do very similar things to that.
Right. It's like, all right, you have this giant fucking chest. You got chesticles
Yeah.
going on. You might as well fucking have something that you can do inside it. Like have a rotating cylinder of fucking battle damage,
Mhm.
you know, shit like that. That would, you know, it makes me think about the mechanics of doing something like that. You know, it's not just a fucking plastic toy with a hollow inside. They're actually like, oh, well, here, if you hit a button, it fucking the neck extends, or if you swing this back, your fucking arm goes like this, like the fucking karate guy.
Oh yeah. Then you had characters like Triclops, who was in this first episode with the fucking spinning head and the 3 eyes.
Right.
And very similar, you had Man-E Faces, who was like 3 faces with a dial that would all change. So they had stuff like that. Bronco Fett mentioned in the chat Stinkor, which let me see if I can find him in this list. He was the fucking skunk guy.
Yeah.
He smelled like a fucking skunk.
Yeah, it smelled like shit.
It smelled terrible, but that was part of the character. And I remember years later coming across a Stinkor, like in the 90s, and this motherfucker still stunk. You had fucking Moss Man, for the people who remember him. He was covered in this like fuzzy AstroTurf kind of fucking material, right? Like he was covered in fucking moss.
Well, wasn't that the not Battle Cat, but the Panther, Skeletor's Panther?
He was velvet, like
it was like a velvety thing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, I think Moss Man was a little bit different. He was more AstroTurfy kind of thing, but still
a little hairier.
Oh yeah. Funny thing, but I actually remember the day I got Moss Man.
Really?
Yeah, because my mom and I were going to fucking Mervin's in Bakersfield, California.
That's not a real place.
It is. Well, it used to be a real place. And for some reason, every time we would go to this Mervin's, I don't know if my mom was a shitty driver or what. We would go through the parking lot and we would go through this one particular like row of cars, and she'd turn to where she would turn left out of this row of cars. Mervin's was right here. She would always fucking hit the curb. Right there, the curb in front of the fucking Mervin's as she was turning left. I don't know what it was. It happened like 2 or 3 times. And then finally, the day that we got Moss Man, as we were coming into Mervin's, she fucking did it again. She took a wide turn and she hit the curb and it fucking broke the tire of the car that we were in. Right? So as soon as she hits the curb, it's like, psst, like, oh, that's not good. We pull into a parking spot. And there's this like fucking flap that's completely broken off and the tire's just completely exposed and immediately goes flat. So she calls a friend, we go into Mervin's, Moss Man's there. I'm like, because I was super huge into He-Man and it was a new toy, and I'm like, I gotta have it. And she bought it for me. And then we go out, and then we had to deal with this whole fucking tire change and everything else. But
what the fuck did you care? You're sitting in the back seat of the car with the fucking with a new toy.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember just like having this fucking Moss Man toy with me the whole time. Can't wait to get home to open it up.
You weren't allowed to open it before you got home?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she told me not to open it until we got home. And
why was that a thing?
I mean, in hindsight, like especially knowing my kids, they would have lost all of the pieces long before we ever got home.
Yeah,
but so maybe that was.
I get that, but I remember, the sidebar, but somewhat relevant. One of the places that we would go, I have this distinct memory of going to a shop. It was in the Cherry Hill Mall, and it's I would be allowed to buy, if I had a good week.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be allowed to buy a Smurf.
Nice.
Right, because I had this whole fucking collection of Smurfs. Smurfs were big. You're talking about Saturday morning cartoons. That's a whole nother fucking thing.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that for another episode.
But that same store sold Matchbox cars, and the Smurfs, they came in a fucking bag. I mean, they didn't come in any kind of packaging. You go and the Smurfs were on the shelf. You're like, I want that one. They take it off the shelf, put it in a bag.
Okay.
But a Matchbox car came back in those days. It still came in a box. Right, so you went and it had the fucking turnstile of fucking like, I want to get this one.
You're going way back.
Yeah, they'd open the thing up and then you get the Matchbox car.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to fucking open it. A Matchbox car was not allowed to open it until I got home.
Oof.
And now that just made me think of it, because it's the same shit. Like I remember, like, all right, I need this kid to not be freaking the fuck out while we're dealing with tire situation.
Yeah,
go ahead and open your toy in the backseat of the car.
Yeah,
like that's how I would think now, like present day.
Mm-hmm.
But it really brings back memories. Like, man, we weren't allowed to play with shit in the car.
Yeah,
I was allowed to bring toys, and you kind of get away with like playing with them, but you couldn't like overtly like play with them,
right?
Because it'd be like, knock it off back there, that type of shit.
Oh god, Kristen's got some great stories about how like they weren't allowed to like smile or laugh at the dinner table because their dad would be like, knock it off. Yeah, but
that's fucking awesome.
But that's our generation, man. Like, I don't know what it is about our parents and their generation, and stop it, no fun.
Oh well, that's a whole nother thing. I don't even want to get into that, why I think that is on this particular thing. Dragon Buddy says the Stinkware smell like plastic, but you could convince anyone he smelled like a skunk.
No, they put a distinct smell on Stinkor. I don't care what anybody says. He had a smell. Like, because he was supposed to be a skunk. So they did something with the material that they built him with.
I think what they did was they in the Mattel line, they were like, it was Mattel, right? Mattel.
I want to say yes.
The Mattel line, they're like, okay, we're making Stinkors. Everybody smoke a bunch of weed. And as you're packaging up Stinkor, like, and handling it, then it'll impregnate it with a fucking smell. There you go.
That could very well be.
Why not? Happy employees, fucking happy kids. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Oh man. So I already talked about the slime playset, and that was kind of where it ended for me. And this can lead to a whole other discussion, because I know you wanted to talk about things like throwaway technology and stuff like that. Once I moved on from He-Man, I stopped caring. And I had a lot of fucking He-Man at this point, but the next big flashy things started coming up. Your Transformers, your Thundercats, your Voltron, all of that stuff. And as soon as my attention got fixated on those, my He-Man toys all just became an afterthought for me. And I am so mad at myself for not keeping that stuff, because now perusing eBay, because you alluded to it before, eBay is a very dangerous place.
Yes.
I've started looking at He-Man stuff, and a fully intact Castle Grayskull, you're not going to find one of those for less than $1,000.
I believe it.
A lot of the figures, hundreds of dollars. Stuff that I had.
The guy who runs a tattooing body art, where Nick is probably still getting tattooed right now.
Yeah.
He's a huge Masters of the Universe guy.
Yeah.
And you'll see, like, and he's got that collector's group that you're in now. You'll see so much Masters of the Universe stuff. People traveling, getting like intact in box fucking Castle Grayskulls and shit like that. And they're going so far as like they're collecting the blister packs of the newest ones.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get that like a retro feel to it. Those guys are nuts. Those
Sure.
guys are absolutely nuts. I love the fact that this is what they do, and I would love to have the space and the money to do it.
Yeah.
Like this is probably the biggest collection of anything I have.
Mm,
Like besides individual baseball cards,
right.
is the Sacred Pops.
The Sacred Pops.
But yeah, the fucking Master of the Universe is huge. It's huge for such a simple toy. Really, when you think about it, you talk about the flashy shit. Like think about when Transformers came out. Think about GI Joes and all the fucking it wasn't just the GI Joe. It was the fucking the Humvees. It was the F-14s. The fucking the X-15 when that came out.
The SR-71. SR.
Yeah, it's something. Well, they called it something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had the fucking aircraft carrier.
Oh,
they all this shit for fucking GI Joe, and you just accessorize the shit out of it. And plus, GI Joes were like indestructible. Fuck.
For the most part.
Yeah, well, I mean,
well, when the rubber band inside broke,
and the thumbs were notorious.
And the crotches would come off too.
True. Yeah.
So
that's what she said.
No,
maybe not. No. Anyway.
Oh, getting back to He-Man really quick. Something else that we didn't even talk about was when She-Ra came out. So She-Ra was actually a big thing for the girls at that time because my wife Kristen has mentioned on multiple occasions how much she loved She-Ra. She had all the fucking She-Ra toys. She-Ra was He-Man's sister. There was a big theatrical released animated movie where He-Man and She-Ra fucking met. And, oh, you're my long-lost sister, blah, blah, blah. Started a whole separate series with She-Ra and what was it called? She-Ra and the something.
I'm trying to remember the theme music. That's what
I'm but her thing was for the honor of Grayskull. But yeah, that was a big thing for a lot of the girls of our generation. I said,
fuck your Barbies. I'm getting a She-Ra.
Exactly, yeah. And I think even me and my friend Rob ended up getting a She-Ra doll just because, we're not going to fucking not have a She-Ra, right? We've got He-Man, we've got all of his fucking cohorts.
Right.
Like, we might as well get fucking She-Ra. She's a sister, right?
Yeah.
So... But yeah, that was a thing. And then there have been countless reboots over the years. They've tried to recapture that lightning in a bottle. Multiple different toy series, multiple different animated series. You mentioned the fucking Kevin Smith series that I guess is in the works.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned in the chat that Kevin Smith was working on something.
I think it's for Netflix too.
So here's the problem with this, right? Mm-hmm. My kids are older, right? So I don't have a dog in this fight.
Yeah.
And I wasn't so into the show that I would need to see like more shows or more versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
I made the mistake of being excited about the He-Man movie when it came out.
Oh,
the Dolph Lundgren movie.
That fucking movie.
And that probably put a bad taste in my mouth that still remains today about like making live action movies from things like toys.
Right.
Like the Transformers movies. It took a lot for me to watch that. My kids, when the Transformer movies first came out, the kids were at the right age.
You're talking the Jerry Bruckheimer Transformer
I'm
movies?
talking about the like Michael Bay.
Yeah. You're not talking the animated movies.
No, not the animated ones.
You got the touch.
No.
You got the power. Yeah.
No, none of those.
Okay.
But for He-Man, this was kind of what did it. I was like, oh, okay, wow. This is going to be great. It's going to have these characters, and was just awful. Just like nightmare inducing awful.
Yeah. And honestly, I never saw the He-Man movie. Based off of the previews alone, I'm looking at this. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? I have no desire to see this. And I was not really in tune with movie news or reviews or anything like that. But even back then in the mid fucking 80s, word of mouth had gotten around that this was a piece of shit. It didn't stick to the lore of fucking He-Man.
Right.
It was garbage. Dolph Lundgren, really, as He-Man? No, never saw it. Probably never will for the rest of my life.
I made the mistake of typing in He-Man movie in Google, and I'm looking at some He-Man movie trailer teaser 2021 Masters of the Universe.
That's probably the Kevin Smith thing.
No, I hope not. No, that's no way that's Kevin Smith thing, because that looks like absolute ass. I think this is that parody where it's the Dirty Dancing one.
Oh,
That's what that is.
all right.
They were talking about that in the chat. I'm like, oh my god, that looks terrible. But yeah, that movie came out in '87.
Wow.
The Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, so even
movie.
at that point, like I had already started getting away from He-Man.
17% in Rotten Tomatoes.
But yeah, like already at that point, I was looking at other things, GI Joes, Transformers, all the stuff that we've already talked about. And then video games too. Like that was the other thing. Like video games, the Nintendo started being much more important to me than He-Man. So it had its time in the sun. And when I was done with it, I was ready to write it off for good. Hence the getting rid of all the fucking toys and everything else. I even remember my mom asking me, like, "Are you sure you want to get rid of these toys? You sure?"
When you say get rid of, what'd you end up doing with them?
I think we ended up selling a bunch of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like at a fucking yard sale, or like we took out a fucking ad in the local newspaper. You remember when you used to do that? When you'd be trying to sell something, you put it in the classifieds.
So around here, growing up around here, we had the Berlin Mart. Like, so if you really wanted, like, yard sales were a thing, but if you really wanted to, like, okay, you'd go and get yourself a booth at the Berlin auction, you know, or the Berlin Farmers Market.
Yep.
And you'd go outside, and on the weekends they have all the walkabout shit. And honestly, that's where, if you wanted to get like He-Man and shit like that, like a bunch of the toys, that's where all people were offering them, because they're kids like you. They were done with them. The kids were done with them. That's how I got like a lot of Game Boy games. Was that way.
Oh, yeah.
Like the turnover for Game Boy games was because people were starting to upgrade on the systems, and I was still like, oh, I still have a Game Boy, so I was able to get games for like $15, like Mario Tennis and games like that. I would be with like $10-15 at the Berlin Farmers Market,
and I'm sure it's a lot of games that people would pay a hefty amount of money for
these days. Yeah,
and same with the He-Man stuff. You know, I'm sure some fucking smart person probably picked up a shitload of He-Man toys back in the day, held on to them for a long time, and now you can flip them for insane amounts of money.
And that's why I like talking about Brett and his whole Masters of the Universe collection thing that he's got. I think he'll get items, be like, okay, I'm going to get this one of this item, but I'm actually looking for this version of it, like a different version or a cleaner version, whatever.
Yeah.
And when that comes up, he'll sell the other one, so that he has this one.
Right.
And so like, he kind of, you goose step your way up into what you're actually looking for with that part of the collection. But to me, like, I never had, like you said, it was so easy to move away from those toys. Like, if you told me if I could have any toy back from when I was a kid, He-Man's not going to make that list.
No,
it's not. That's just unfortunate. But I think my cousin Ricky would have a completely different story. But my cousin Ricky, his parents saved most of his shit. Like,
really?
Yeah, so he has, like, he mentioned in the chat last week, his Castle Grayskull is still at his parents' house.
Oof.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was in his room to this day. I'm sure there's some attrition over the years, but for the most part, I mean, he's got a huge, you're talking about somebody who has a good toy collection, especially when it comes to like Voltron and shit like that. Yeah, Ricky's got that.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah. Oh, dude. But yeah, he had a lot of this He-Man stuff, and I'm willing to bet that somebody out there is like, oh yeah, I want. They have that connection. They have that emotional connection to what He-Man was. I don't have that. Now, when we start talking about, for me, that if we're talking about that list, you're talking about Transformers. The intricacies of the original Transformers were unbelievable.
It was huge,
and
it was absolutely. And I mean, as far as an impact for kids that were our age, I think it was bigger than anything else around that time. Bigger than He-Man, bigger than Thundercats or any of that stuff. I think Transformers was the de facto thing that these toy manufacturers / animated series creators were gunning for. Was what Transformers was. And
well, trust us, we'll have a whole. I think Transformers is going to have its own fucking show.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas a lot of these toys, because let's face it, we're talking about He-Man, we're talking about toys, we're talking about the shows. There's a lot of this that is the foundational structure of our youth as Gen Xers.
Oh, yeah. And so many companies tried to follow that same formula. Some succeeded, some didn't. one of the big things that I know we've touched on briefly in the past was Mask, right?
Yes.
If you remember Mask.
Yes.
That was another thing where they're like, fuck it, we're going to create this TV show and this fucking toy line at the same time, push it out just like fucking Transformers and all these others. Didn't quite pan out the way the others did. And there were a handful.
There were good toys, though.
They were, but
if we get to a point where we talk about that, I have interesting Mask stories.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it did not have the longevity that some of these others did. Like, I think it only stuck around for a season. And Kathleen Martin in the chat says that Dave really liked My Little Pony, so maybe we'll have to talk about My Little Pony
apparently
at some point in the course of the show.
My Little Pony, My Little Pony.
Well, he knows the theme song, so.
Dude, well, I had younger sisters.
That is true. Yeah, and I had a younger sister, so and she was into those as well. So,
My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake, all that shit. Talking about smelly toys.
So I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but in the meantime, why don't we talk about some of our friends as part of the greater family of Gen X POV, all things Star Wars?
See, we need a list. We need a comprehensive list so that we don't miss anybody.
Yeah.
But we can start with our friends at the Escape Pod.
Yep.
Brady and Don. Fact is, Don just checked out of the chat. He's going to go see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure Part 3 or whatever the fuck they're calling it. I don't know.
It's called Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Sounds a lot like something Dave's never going to see ever. And you can't make me.
I enjoyed the first Bill and Ted.
First one. Never
saw the sequel. And I mean, the third one seems kind of interesting, but
listen, the episode of the second Bill and Ted that the Escape Pod did, that we were a part of the chat and everything else.
Yep,
it was pretty fucking funny. In fact, I would find that to be way funnier than the actual movie. So check those guys out. The Escape Pod. You can find them on everywhere you can find podcasts.
Yep, they are an audio podcast. They also do their streams on YouTube as well, just like us.
On Wednesday nights, I believe.
Yes.
Generally speaking, on Wednesday nights. Yes. So look for those guys. Look for the Use and Abuse podcast, which is re-releasing on
September 11th. Never forget.
I don't know what their new shit is. Honestly, I don't know what their new hotness is. They were a music podcast. Now they're getting into other stuff. So looking forward to that.
Indeed.
Keith Lehman from Layman's Terms. You can find him on Facebook.
Yep.
He's gone strictly from YouTube to go on to Facebook, and he does short videos on Facebook Live. Really entertaining. He's a Magic guy. Indeed. He's a Philly area guy, so he's into our local sports. Man of my own heart. So look for him. Look for the Jensen brothers and their show, Orange and Fett. I believe
that sounds right.
On SoundCloud.
Correct us in the chat.
Yes. Advertise for yourselves on the chat.
Yes.
It's
all about branding.
Yes. Merchandising. You got, hopefully Big Sweet is still listening, or if he's not listening right now.
I haven't seen him in the chat at all. So, but he's in the process of getting inked as we speak.
Yeah, so. He started it too, and he's getting. I mean, he could be done soon.
Yeah,
expect something but he's Big Swede on. He's Big Swede's or
Big Swede's Excellent Adventure.
Excellent Adventure. Thank you.
Yep.
And then you have Tactical Swede.
Yep, where he talks about guns. He likes guns.
All the gunnery, which is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. He's also got. He's got a lot of other projects. He's got music projects that he does. Sweet Studios.
Yeah. He's actually a pretty good musician.
Yeah, when his guitar's tuned, yeah, absolutely.
Just watching him trying to tune his guitar live on a stream.
Live on a stream after 2 Jaeger bombs, at least.
Oh yeah, we'd already had quite a bit.
There's a half a dozen shots before that guitar tuning was even a thing.
And I'm just like, what is going on right now? I don't care. Just play it with an untuned guitar.
Yeah, and then with his buddy that was drumming a fucking
holy shit, man.
A bucket.
Yeah,
a knockoff Home Depot bucket in the background.
Oh my god. Going into that evening, I had wanted to learn how to play the guitar, but after listening to him try to tune his fucking guitar, I'm like, no, I'll stick with the piano. Thanks.
Well, that's the beauty of playing a keyboard.
Yeah,
it's always in tune.
Indeed,
as opposed to the piano we have in our house, which has to be tuned a couple times a year. It's supposed to be, I think.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like it's a finicky instrument, but does sound really good,
Indeed.
especially when my wife's playing it.
I believe it.
What else we got? I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it for content creators anyway.
Anyway, so what about us? Social media.
We are at Gen X POV on everything,
Everywhere.
which is amazeballs.
And really just Instagram is the best place you're going to get us.
Instagram, yeah, we're not really following on Twitter. Instagram,
Probably
at
should
Gen
be,
X
but-
POV. And whenever you post anything, if you're having yourself a good old time with some El Yucateco hot sauce, you can tag us at Gen X POV, tag the El Yucateco hot sauce
Yes.
at El Yucateco _hot sauce.
Yes.
On the
please
Instagram.
include us.
All the hashtagging, hashtag King of Flavor, hashtag Gen X POV, hashtag hashtag.
And you will do it.
And you will do it. And don't forget, we had this little Star Wars thing going, and we're gonna have some Star Wars things coming up in the future.
Yes. Tomorrow, the new Thrawn book comes out.
Yes.
And I've already got the audiobook pre-ordered.
Yep. And
So,
I get the hard copy delivered to me tomorrow.
And I actually have to drive to work for the rest of the week.
There you go.
So I may be done with it by the end of this week. So we may have
Perfect.
to do a new All Things Star Wars
Yeah.
podcast soon.
Yeah. So those of you who are new to the Jason and Dave podcast brand,
Yeah.
look for us at the All Things Star Wars podcast.
Because it's not dead yet. It's not dead yet.
Nope. Then
It's getting better.
we should
Go for a walk.
we have we need to put on the list of Monty Python.
Because we could have a great debate about this. Because to me, like, I know everybody loves Holy Grail, right?
mhm.
It's the most quotable of the movies. I'm sorry, but Life of Brian is a far better movie than any other Monty Python movie.
There is much room for debate
Yes.
on that particular thing. Just a debate whether or not Monty Python is truly, like, a lot of Gen Xers grew up with their parents on Monty Python.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Because
so
that's one
we
of those
get
things
de
that
facto.
transcends generations.
Yeah, so we got exposure to it, and I think that there's a conversation to be had about the Gen Xers, or how Monty Python influenced the Gen Xers comedy, and and how they enjoy shows and what's not.
Indeed.
What's rabbit? What?
The rabbit. It's got
Oh.
huge fangs and look at the bones.
God bless this holy hand grenade and blow everyone to bits.
Indeed.
It is Holy Grail is definitely the most quotable,
Oh, of course.
but I mean the Flying Circus album.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
yes.
Then you get into like the albums, and then even going, back to the Flying Circus, and
Right.
like the Argument Clinic.
Oh yeah,
That's one of the.
I came here for an argument.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Flying Circus on LP. Yes. So there, I think somewhere in the near future, I think a Mighty Python bit
Yeah, because
should be out there.
because that's a great point, because that was before our time, yet it had an impact,
Mhm.
at least on the geek culture of our generation.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that would be something that we'll put a pin in that. Well,
Yeah, write that shit down. God damn it. Spam. Baked beans are off.
yes.
Have spam instead of the baked beans then.
All right.
You
No,
mean spam? I could go on for hours.
no idea what we're talking about next week. We've got a couple of ideas, but we should be here, same bat time, same bat channel on Labor Day next week, or Memorial Day, or Veterans Day. They're all the same. It's a Monday off.
Labor Day.
That's all I give a shit about.
It's Labor Day, and
Um,
it's also for those of you who are participating in the Sidebar Cantina Fantasy Football League. That is also Draft Day
Shit.
for fantasy football.
Did we decide how many teams we're going to let?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
we can go post show with the
Because
with
apparently
the studio audience on that one.
all 12 teams that were in last year want back in this year,
Yeah.
and we have more people who want in.
Yeah.
On top of that, so
Yeah, I think a discussion needs to be had.
Oh,
And maybe
God.
it may be uncomfortable for us. I'm not gonna lie.
It's going to be very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
quite frankly.
We'll have that conversation post Swede, as it were.
All right. Well, I mean, I hate to do this for a third time, but I have to do this, so we got to close this out.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Again,
Sleep all night and work all day.
if you're watching us on YouTube, please still go to the audio podcast and give us that download. We're still trying to build up this show, so we need those download numbers so we can report them to El Yucateco for ad revenue.
Oh
and
yeah,
things
shit,
like
we
that.
got to do that.
So yeah, please still, even if you watch us on YouTube, give us that download on the audio just so we have that.
Yeah.
And
make sure you're subscribing, liking the videos.
yeah, subscribe, like, share, please, for the love of God. We're trying to get ourselves out there. We need to be better on social media. I posted a couple of things today on Instagram. Dave's not really helping me out at all. Oh, never mind. He helps me out a lot.
I do help
in different ways. I totally forgot what I was saying.
I know.
But until next time, just remember, everything we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click?
So that's the thing. It's Hank finishing.
I think she might come back. So Kelly sent us a.
We're still live, by the way. That was just the audio ending.
Right.
This is the after party, folks.
She says, I guess she was looking at the league, and it says 11 out of 12 are signed in.
Okay. I know I signed in. Kristen signed in.
Right.
Kristen's very excited, by the way, about the prospect of another woman being in the league.
So
her not being the only one.
According to this, like what she's seeing is there's one spot available. The problem is that when I log into it as the commissioner, I can't tell who's there and who's not. That's a little aggravating, to be honest. Espousing the virtues of Yahoo fucking fantasy as being the only thing that Yahoo does relatively well.
All right. Well, while you're thinking about that, I got to piss again. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go too. So I sent out something. Those of you who are, okay. I just got something. Pimpin' Twilix is still out. So that's the team. Who was Pimpin' Twilix? Who was that? Crew Watch. Who was Pimpin' Twilix? I don't even know. Scott deleted his team. Were you Pimpin' Twilix, Scott? Scott! Oh, okay. Scott was. So that does leave an opening. So when Jason gets back here, we will discuss that potential. But yeah, next week for the draft. I think here's the thing, and this is what, talk amongst yourselves, honestly. Jason and I had a conversation about potentially doing a 15 team league or something like that so that we can maximize participation with everybody. Both Jason and I are, from a fantasy football standpoint, we're vehemently against that just because of the playability of the league. But this is not a money league. This is a let's have fun. Let's enjoy.
It's a bragging rights.
It's a bragging rights thing. So the fact that more than a 12-team league would make it less playable. However, if everyone's participating like we did last year, like everybody participated.
Yeah.
Everybody stayed with their teams. I know Bronco Fett got better as the year went on.
Yeah, he started off pretty crappy because he didn't know the NFL.
Because he drafted all Boise State players and just went, did a Boise State homer thing, but that's not how you win in fantasy football.
Right. And he realized that eventually.
Yeah.
And he got better.
Exactly. Everyone stuck with it. And I appreciate that. From a commissioner standpoint, I don't want somebody to fucking phone it in because that's somebody else who could be potentially enjoying the slot.
Yeah.
Scott Rasmussen, apparently he deleted his team. So that's the slot that's available.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Ask him.
Why did you do that, Scott?
Why did you do that?
Scott! Did you just not enjoy it? What was that all about? I thought it was fun. I thought you did well last year. Sorry. So one thing about beer, man, makes me tired. Really any alcohol makes me tired. It's a real downer for me. It either makes me super sad or just super tired. More tired these days. But I can't remember what I was going to say.
It's a shame we can't have like bum fights or something for the last.
Oh my god! So, like, are you saying if like Lunar Girl and Ivo G each wanted a spot, they'd each have to find a bum and make them fight, and whoever won, they got that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Wow.
Which would be tough because one's in Bulgaria, the other one's in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
I'm willing to bet that a bum from Bulgaria would probably handle a bum from the.
Oh yeah, for
North
sure.
of
From the United States.
pretty
We're
well.
all pussies over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard living over there in Bulgaria.
Indeed.
There's a lot of threats out there.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, people bitch and complain about the United States. Oh, the U.S. sucks. Fucking this is everything is terrible over here. Yeah, go to another fucking country. I fucking dare you. Most of you people who are bitching about the United States and how shitty we are that live here,
trust the people that have been to.
Yeah, we have been everywhere.
Yeah,
across this fucking planet.
I've over 90 countries that I've been to.
Yeah, one of these days I need to sit down and actually tally it.
I have a spreadsheet. I actually have a spreadsheet.
Yes, yeah, I did not have the foresight.
Of all the things you're going to log in your life, that's not one of them.
Yeah.
See, what's funny about my spreadsheet, and Kathy and the kids will tell you this. Like, so I have the map on the gratuitous military map on the wall, right?
Pins in the map.
And I said that the criteria was for a pin is that I have to have left DNA there, meaning I would have had to have taken a shit. No, that's probably too easy.
Oh, I gotta leave my DNA here. Oh, just give me 10 more seconds.
No, have to.
There we go.
Have to either spend the night or take a shit. And that's the criteria for a pin on the fucking map. And given that criteria, the number is like 90.
So if it's a fuel stop,
it doesn't count. Not unless I went in and took a shit. If I got off the jet, went into fucking ops, into the jetway or something else, and and took a shit, counts. Count it because it takes time. I'm a slow pooper. So you have to spend enough time on the ground for me to actually fucking get a shit out. Then does it
have to be in a local facility, or can it be on the jet that you came in?
See, preferably not on the aircraft.
Because here's the thing. I did a stop in China, right? We were there on the ground for literally like 4 hours because these motherfuckers took all of our passports and disappeared for like 2.5 hours. So I'm there on the ground in fucking Beijing, chilling out on the fucking ramp, just waiting for them to finish scanning our fucking passports into their fucking Chinese database.
Right.
And like, does that not count as me being in China?
Did you take a shit? They did take your passport.
I only take shits in my hotel rooms or in my actual house.
It's good control. I like that. Yeah. But sometimes you don't get that benefit.
I mean, every once in a while I have to break that, but not very often.
Fair enough. I mean, honestly, very rarely on the jet that I ever take a shit.
Yeah, me either. It's
just
I need my privacy. I need
I
need candles. Honestly, I need the situation to be right.
The taking a shit on the airplane is way more fucking private than anything. Like when you're in a house full of fucking kids and everything, and people are knocking on the door and trying, it's time. No. If I'm on the fucking jet and I'm off headset. And I'm legitimately off headset. Like I don't need to be doing something right now, and I can just sit in there and fucking enjoy a shit. Then that's what's gonna happen,
right?
Yeah, I'll take my fucking phone in there, and catch up on some Sudoku, and
Scott's gonna become a grandfather again.
Yes,
at least the second time.
Yes,
that we know of. So congratulations, Scott.
Yeah, and best of luck. I hopefully all goes well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
And Stonebleeds comes with ponies are for 5 years old and younger.
I think we're going way back to the My Little Pony.
Apparently. Okay. We'll get there. There's going to be some My Little Pony conversation.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about the jet though is like you had all that ambient noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like cruising along at 36,000 feet. All you hear is because that's part of the privacy that I need. Is I need people to not be right outside the fucking door hearing what's going on in that bathroom.
So here is the issue. Like, so we glorify, like, we're Air Force guys, right? We had our own private jet that flew us around the fucking world. And where our radio operator station was right by the outflow valve in the back of the jet. So one of the airplanes had a not as good fucking circulation system, that because what happened was when you're sitting in an airplane, like in the lavatories, the air is coming out of the lavatories, going right into the circulation system and getting dumped by this area called the outflow valve. It's on the back of the airplane.
Yeah, the very back of the plane.
Yeah. Where we sat was the fucking outflow valve.
Yeah.
So if it was bad, it was bad where we sat.
Mhm.
And there's been times, like especially on the fucking ground, when you couldn't get the labs dumped and you're sitting there and somebody fucking left like 5,000 pounds of fucking shit in there.
In the summer too.
In Africa in the summer, just awful. Like how we didn't get fucking dysentery just from smelling.
Oh, and then you talk about some of these ground handlers and some of these overseas companies and the way they would fucking dump the labs.
Oh, the way they dump the labs and then eat our garbage.
Yeah.
Remember that
and
in Malawi?
I remember that very well. The whole point of this, though, is the fact that no matter what fucking foreign country I went to, maybe with the exception of Australia is the only place that I've ever been to that I'm like, I could live here and not miss anything from the US. Mostly because it was very westernized, very similar to what we have here, but the women were so fucking hot. Holy shit.
See, I felt like Australia was one of those places that like was really, it's like a kind of a shiny nickel, like, oh, look at how nice it is right here. But then when you went 15 minutes outside the city, fucked.
That's true.
Everything's trying to fucking kill you.
That is true.
Right? The environment, the fucking every animal, like you, as soon as the city's skyline is not even in the fucking distance yet.
Yeah.
And everything's trying to kill you.
I think I just saw a post on Facebook today actually about that. Like a fucking alligator like stuck to the wall of a fucking house, just like looking down, ready to pounce. All kinds of crazy shit, like spiders this fucking big.
Yeah, no. I remember being in Sydney, Australia, and we're walking in the middle of downtown Sydney, like right by right where the Opera House is, like that part of where the piers are and shit like that. Did you made it to Sydney, right?
No, I never went to Sydney. It was always Brisbane and then the other place on the opposite side in Perth. Yeah.
So we're in Sydney and we're walking and just going between bars or whatever. And the bugs, it was the back half of summertime. And at night, you get these huge bugs flying around. And then the bats that were flying to eat said bugs were the size of like crows. Yeah. They were giant fucking like, woof. Like you felt the air go by as they're fucking flying by. You're like, check, please. And fuck you. I'm out. But Opera House, cool. Like that. Yeah, that's cool over there. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Real quick, the point I was trying to make is every country I've been to, it's kind of neat to see it, but I'd always much rather live in the US.
Oh,
like, none of them ever held a candle to being home.
It's the best.
And maybe people from those countries come to the US and they're like, okay, this is kind of neat, but get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go home.
Yeah, when they're in fucking, they accidentally end up in Northeast Philly or some shit like that, and they're like, this is a little dangerous.
Or Wisconsin.
The Kenosha Kickers? What?
Yeah.
Polka. And anyway,
derailed.
So the real conversation we need to have is we have a week from draft, and we have a slot to fill. So are we going to
a lot of slots in Vegas? There's so many slots, you won't know what to do.
Kathy's talking about Ireland. Ireland's great. I don't know that I want to live there though, just because the fucking winter in Ireland.
Yeah.
Like you think if you're in New Jersey and you complain that you don't see the sun enough, you're not going to enjoy Ireland.
Yeah.
Because it's green as shit because it's fucking wet all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're from Seattle, you're kind of used to that kind of climate, but those of us who like the four seasons.
Yeah. Even Seattle though has a relatively mild summer.
Yeah.
Ireland is anyway, a great place to visit. The motherland, but definitely don't want to live there. No, we got to figure out this fucking thing with this last slot because people got to prepare for next week. So we got to figure out.
Fuck it. Let everybody in. Anybody that wants in, just let him in. And if it's a monumental failure, then what we'll do is we'll do a cut for next season. For next season, it'll be all right. Let's say we go up to 15 teams, right? Let's say we get 4 more people interested in joining the fucking fantasy league this year. And it's a fucking shit show. By halfway through the season, we need to make a declaration. All right, whoever's in the fucking bottom 3 or bottom 4 of the league this year, you're out for next year. Sorry, but there's only so much we can accommodate for. Or even make that declaration now, right? Like, however many teams we have now, whoever's in the fucking bottom at the end of this season, you're fucking done for 2021.
Well, who wants in that isn't in? Right?
I thought Lunar Girl wanted in.
Yeah, Ivo G had mentioned it.
Ivo G mentioned it.
Nick had mentioned it.
Okay, so that's at least 3.
Yeah.
So if Scott's out, that would put us up to 14 teams.
Right.
And then we just say the bottom 2 are out. Sorry, bro. Survival of the fittest.
Let me see something here. Commissioner.
14 teams isn't the worst. Like I've done a league with 20, and that made me want to fucking gouge my eyeballs out.
All right, so I can set the 14 right now.
Lunar Girl is constantly raising her hand in the chat. She's like, can I get in? Hello? Yes, you're in, Lunar Girl, no matter what.
Yeah, so I just increased the teams to 14, so that should populate.
And that's got to be the limit.
Right meow.
Right now. That's it. No more. No mas.
So, all right. 2 available team slot.
Oh, so one's already been taken? Or is it still counting Scott?
Well, yeah, it's Scott is in there as a 1 reserve team slot. So
okay,
I'm just I'm gonna remove him.
So apparently Scott wants to focus on being a grandparent and doing things with his life.
Responsibilities. Adulting sucks.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten that's advanced adulting. Like we're in adulting still.
Mm-hmm.
Like advanced adulting is like grandkids shit.
Well, and see, that's the funny thing, because just today on Facebook, a good friend of mine growing up, she was in my same grade and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She put a video on Facebook today of her playing with her granddaughter. I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And I remember she was pregnant like first or second semester of college. I remember her being pregnant. And it's like, we've come full circle. Now her kid has had a kid and she's a grandparent. I'm like, fuck. I'm not ready for that yet.
Oh, neither am I. And you're approaching the 4 limit on that.
Yeah, because my oldest is 17.
I'm right in the fucking sweet spot. Of when that could possibly happen. So for us, it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, it's one of those inevitabilities.
Right. It's more inevitable for having kids that are in their 20s right now than younger. Yeah. And whatever, we'll deal with that. But like I said, that's advanced adulting. I'm not ready for advanced adulting yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to go ahead and go with standard adulting for now.
Indeed.
And then Stonebleed's just got a message.
Commish changed league settings and
change the league settings. Yeah, so that was the change. So here's
Kathy's still in the chat, by the way, so she's hearing all of this.
Well, hopefully she's not driving and trying to do this at the same time.
Yeah,
that would be irresponsible. One of the feedback items I got from the league was I got a couple. The one who will not be named, who may or may not be orange, had mentioned that there's not enough pork rinds in the league.
What?
Yeah. So we have to address the pork rind issue.
I don't even know what that means.
It doesn't mean anything. It just means pork rinds. It's not meant to mean anything. But the one serious drop that was in there was about changing the tight end position to a flex position. So we already have, as it stands right now, I know this is riveting, but I'm pretty sure everybody who's still watching us right now is probably involved in the league in some form or fashion.
This is all part of the after show anyway, so
yeah.
Though we do have a lot of people in the stream. We still got 11 people in here, so
sweet. It's talking about taking shits in foreign places.
Taking shits, fantasy football, you know.
Yeah, like you do. Here, let me break out how our league setting is right now. Rosters and scoring settings. No, I don't want that. I want roster positions.
I'm never gonna score. I'm never gonna score.
I'm gonna laugh at you. All right. So what we have: quarterback, wide receiver, two running backs, one tight end, one wide receiver or tight end.
That's what he said.
Slot. Then you have a wide receiver, tight end, or running back slot, and a kicker. And then defense or whatever. So if we're talking about, so we have, instead of the tight end position, making that into a,
I don't like it.
I mean, I think I understand what happened last year, and it's gonna be exacerbated this year too, because we have a 14 team league now. There's not 14 fucking A-level tight ends. And I think that's part of the problem. Like, once you get outside of the fucking Kelsey's, the Ertz, that fucking schmuck who plays for San Fran, Gronk. After that,
Gronk's gonna suck balls this year.
Dude, Brady's gonna suck balls.
Yeah.
Brady is going to fold like a cheap suit.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch this fucking epic downfall.
Oh, it's gonna be
Brady,
glorious.
Gronk, Tampa Bay.
He's going to have a career-ending injury, and it won't. It's going to be great, and I'll love every minute of it. But I think Gronkowski, he's not as old as Brady. Athletic,
he's as broken as Brady.
Yeah, but he also took a year off. Gronk was in the fucking studio wearing a suit for a year or more. So that means that's almost 2 seasons of not getting hit.
Yeah.
Not fucking even being in pads, not having to fucking go through that training regimen.
But what kind of shape is he in, though?
From what I'm seeing online, he's in decent shape.
Okay.
Regardless, though, he's a name, right? So if you're drafting for tight ends, he's going to be in that top fucking 5 conversation.
Sure.
For lack of anyone else. I mean, I think, what was that? Tennessee tight ends, fucking I can't even think of his name right now. But all that being said, we're starting a position that we can't say that there's 14 marquee tight ends in the league.
Okay, so what do you do? Do you do like 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and then all the rest flex slots? Or do you even go that far? Do you go 1 running back, 1 receiver, and all the rest flex? Because as you get into these larger leagues, you might have to if you want to make it somewhat competitive.
Right. Well, say you eliminate the tight end position, right, as by itself, and we have
and make it as part of a trifecta flex. Running back, wide receiver / tight end.
So basically what we would be doing is eliminating. Well, so we already have a wide receiver tight end flex.
And
we already have a receiver running back tight end flex.
Okay.
So if we eliminate that one tight end, let me do this. And just have 2 full flexes.
And then how many running backs and receivers, like dedicated?
So you have 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and then 2 flex slots that you could put a tight end, a wide receiver, or and here's the thing for, like, I know Don's not watching right now because he's the one that put this out there. With this amount of teams, it doesn't matter how big the flex slot is, there's still only so many players.
Right.
So at some point or another, you're going to have to.
Which I think that's why we should probably lean more towards more flex players than not, if we're going to go with a bigger league. So,
well, that's the thing. Do we want to? What's going on in the chat? Anybody got anything to add in the chat that's intelligent?
Lunar Girl agrees with me that Gronk's fucking done. Too many surgeries. His body's too fucking broken.
Well, all you're doing is making the argument that there's even less marquee tight ends out there.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's where we're at. Watson was the guy I was trying to think of before. But the other part of that is if you have a tight end slot, then and you're drafting just solely for a tight end, all right, Grant, cool, you got the marquee guys. But then after that, I mean, you're spending. So it's like anything else. The draft is going to balance itself out, right? Mm-hmm. If you're trying to go out and get a fucking Zach Ertz, you're going to use a first round draft pick on that.
Are you?
After 14, if you're doing a snake draft, you're talking, you could have 28 players. Zach Ertz is not going to be he's not going to stay past the second round. He's just not, because look at the offense that they're running. You know, you're looking at Carson Wentz, who as a quarterback only looks at Zach Ertz. He's got a Jalen Hurts, who's injured right now. We don't even know the status of his shoulder injury. Yeah. You've got a bunch of other schmucks at fucking wide receiver. He only has a fucking tight end to throw to, and that's that. So you're going to be like, this guy. This is a PPR league. So every time Zach Ertz gets the ball, boom, you get a point.
True.
And between him and Dallas Goedert, you're talking about some of the most touchdowns in the league last year were between those two tight ends.
Yeah. I don't know. I personally wouldn't take that, but take him that high. It's just me, but
would you take your boy from San Fran that high?
No, I don't think I'd take any tight end that high.
Well, and that's the thing. You can't think. You got to think outside of that 10 teams. Now we're talking about more people. He might be the guy that's going to get you between 12 and 15 points a week.
Yeah,
you know that's going to be a commodity.
Yeah.
What if we did a 2 quarterback league?
2 quarterback league?
Yeah.
Why?
People do it. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm just throwing it out there. I've
never done one like that, but I'm sitting here thinking
Stonebleeds thinks
we're all gonna get stuck with a fucking basically with a Peyton Manning and an Eli Manning, right? You're gonna get stuck with one good quarterback and one fucking shitbag.
So let's take Daniel Jones for example, right? Luna Girls Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones. I was on a Giants team that has no fucking defense whatsoever.
Right.
He's going to be on the field a lot. And he's got one of the best running backs in the league at Saquon Barkley, who is a receiver out of the backfield. And then you have Golden Tate, who's healthy. So Daniel Jones, in a PPR perspective, is going to get you points. Am I going to draft him any kind of way?
No. He's going to be the last quarterback I draft.
But you have to look at it like there's 32 teams in the league, right? And so if you have 28 slots for quarterbacks, then you're starting every quarterback in the league, damn near.
See, now that would actually be interesting in this, if as opposed to doing 3 flex slots or whatever, doing 2 flex slots and a second quarterback.
Yeah, because you could turn one of these flex slots into a quarterback. Which means that
and that would free up a lot more wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, because you wouldn't need that many.
Right. Because quarterbacks, generally speaking, are going to get you more points, but you're going to have to sacrifice a draft pick for a top ranked wide receiver or running back.
The problem with that is bye weeks, because you're damn near guaranteed to have a bye week where you just have a slot empty. And if you draft poorly, it may be 2 empty slots in the same week. I mean, I guess you're going to have 14-28. So you're going to have 4 quarterbacks that are constantly on the bench, constantly getting picked up on waivers because one of my quarterbacks is on a bye this week.
Yep.
Let me get the fucking quarterback from.
That's assuming that you have to start 2 quarterbacks. I'm saying if the quarterback's in an option in a slot or I
thought you meant
flex.
I thought you meant a mandatory quarterback slot.
I mean, that's plausible, but like you said, it's challenging.
See, I like that idea more, the flex slot including a quarterback.
So what do we eliminate?
As far as
do we eliminate the tight end position and just add the quarterback flex with the wide receiver, running back, or tight end?
I like the idea. I like the idea of, what would that be? 3 flex slots?
Yeah.
Per team? Yeah, I like that. QB, tight end, running back, wide receiver.
and get rid of the tight end, the dedicated tight end slot.
Yeah. So this gives us more flexibility. So if you just have a shitty draft and you're like, fuck, I only got like 2 wide receivers total, but I've got 3 quarterbacks for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You can plug a couple of those guys into a flex slot. I mean, it's
So
strategically, it could actually lead to some very interesting decisions.
Yeah. It's going to, again, being a league where we want people to be engaged in the league and watching waiver wires and things like that. This could prompt some trades and some other discussion.
Fuck it. Let's do it.
All right. So we got 1 quarterback.
C.
3PO. 2 wide receivers. 2 running backs. 1 wide receiver tight end flex. 1 wide receiver running back tight end flex. And 1 quarterback wide receiver running back tight end flex.
Okay.
So, and then a kicker. So you're starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. You're starting 9.
Why not make all 3 flex slots, all 4 positions? Is there any reason why that would be bad?
I don't think we should be encouraging starting more than 2 quarterbacks.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because they're too valuable.
That's true. Because I could just go rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4, draft the top 4 fucking quarterbacks,
and you're guaranteeing double-digit points.
Okay, that makes sense.
So at least 1. I mean, we can make. I mean, instead of a wide receiver tight end flex, we could go and change that to a wide receiver running back tight end flex.
Yeah, I like that.
So we'll have 2 of those.
Yeah, and then 1 with a quarterback also.
Not 3, 2. All right.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver running back tight end flexes, and then 1 flex that includes the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good.
All right. I'm going to submit it.
Make the sacrifice.
So all you whiny bitches that fucking complained about tight ends last year. Let's
And there were a lot of them too. Like
there was a lot of whiny bitches last year to complain about tight ends. Which do your research.
Yeah.
Draft wisely and then pay attention to what matchups are. Along those lines, this is why I think doing a Thursday night, like before the fantasy week, do like a 15-minute like highlight like certain matchups that we can talk about the players themselves, not talk about the results, but just talk about like, oh, here's these key matchups that we're going to be looking for.
Because what I think we could do as part of the end of the show, the after show, like what we're doing right now, the post recording bullshitting, that can be the, oh fuck, I lost this week to fucking Lunar Girl in the fantasy football. She kicked my ass by like 30 points,
Right.
And then the Thursday can be the preview for what's coming up.
Yep.
Right. Because the booth in the back guys, speaking of pussies, are not going to be able to do booth in the back this year because they got other stuff going on, whatever. Everybody loved it. By the way, Kristen was very disappointed when I told her that. I'm like, yeah, they're not doing the booth in the back anymore. She's like,
well,
no.
You remember too, the booth in the back was their jam. They weren't doing the escape pod.
True.
When that was going on. That was kind of their dipping their toes in the water, like, running their show out of the kitchen before building their own little studio area and all that other stuff. So
yeah.
And I mean, we can appreciate that doing a weekly show, to do it right, it takes a certain level of commitment.
Indeed.
And you have to know what you can get away with and what you can't.
And know your bandwidth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think that, I think a Thursday kind of preview show would be fun. Not having to worry about commuting to the studio or anything.
Right. Yeah, we could do it remotely.
Yeah. And then after, Sunday or Monday evenings before the Monday night game, we can talk about, whatever's going to happen for that particular evening.
I like it.
We're talking about whatever because it's the post game.
It's our show. We do what we want.
We do what the fuck we want. God damn it. All right, cool. So we'll see how this goes. It'll be interesting.
Yes. So a week from today is the draft.
Correct.
We're going to do a live draft here in the studio. I guess. What are we going to record the show and then just roll right into the draft?
I think I have the draft scheduled for 1700. So do the draft, then do the show.
Okay.
That's the idea anyway. Because we got to work the next day.
Yes.
I'd rather start early. I know Kathy wants Kathy didn't want us to do something on Sunday because she wants to do something over the weekend.
That's fine. The Monday seemed to work out.
Yeah, Monday before we have to go back to work and all that other nonsense.
Yeah.
Stonebleeds. Oh man, I just got some Yucateco over my Alexander Nevsky's DVD. What the fuck?
Well, we need to see pictures of this.
Yeah, obviously.
Post them on Instagram
and tag
us.
Tag at
El
GenXPV and at El Yucateco _ hot sauce.
And be like, I got El Yucateco off Alexander.
Like, what does that mean? What is that code for?
I have no idea.
That's fucking funny.
Oh, it's good shit. All right, we're ready to pack this
Yeah,
up?
we downloaded. We're all good to go.
Yep.
I think we need to. When you think we need to start talking about Patreon again?
I was thinking episode 10.
10? Okay.
Because
what we just do? Episode 7?
The tried and this was 7. The tried and true rule is you're not a real podcast until you've done 10 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's the old adage going all the way back to my Magic the Gathering podcast. It's like you're not a real podcast until you've done 10 episodes.
So I defer to your judgment on that.
Yeah. So I will say episode 10 will be the relaunch of Patreon. By then we should have a whole bunch of bonus stuff lined up. Hopefully I can figure out a way to pay back our patrons from All Things Star Wars. I have some ideas.
Stuff.
Shit I want to send all of these people.
Right. Damn it. I forgot something.
Something you can bring next week?
Yes.
Okay.
That. We'll do that.
We will do it.
Good night, gentlemen, and Kathleen.
Yes, indeed.
We
good? All right.
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah. So, all right. Good night, guys. It was fun.
Peace, bitches. When are you guys doing G.I. Joe? Soon.
When will then be now? Soon.